Lyanna, the all-powerful witch, master of fire magic, wielder of ice magic, the one they call the scourge of the continent for her plan to wipe out the world. This witch, along with her 6 henchmen, who always follow her, is one of the 7 calamities of Runebelt, and their queen at that. Ever since she was a kid, Lyanna's been a ruthless witch, easily mastering all the power she has now, and showing no mercy to her enemies. At 15, the witch burned an entire empire to the ground for standing against her, starting a war and planting the seeds of disaster in Lyanna's heart. The witch knew no limits and kept growing her ranks, sending them across the land. The terrified people who saw them called them demons. Humanity was on the brink of extinction. Many were ready to bow before the witch to end the senseless and bloody war against her. But the darkness that had surrounded them since the bloodthirsty witch arrived was suddenly dispelled by a bright light of hope. The people rejoiced because this light was a hero, someone who could save them from the oppression of the powerful witch. This hero was the Holy Father of Asperia, a man who obeyed and carried out the will of the goddess Asperia. The people saw him as their savior, but the witch saw the Holy Father as her worst enemy. Her face twisted in disgust at the sight of him. He repulsed her. Their war soon erupted into a brutal battle between Holy Asperia and the dark forces, a clash of entirely different beliefs and morals. The two sides fought for 5 years, neither willing to yield, each trying to defend their ground at any cost. After Lyanna's death, the darkness agreed to a treaty with Holy Asperia. The war ended in peace, and all the events you're about to see happened 50 years later. The Archbishop meticulously copies the chronicle with a violet pen tipped with gold, the image of the Holy Father visible on the old paper. A woman in white enters the room, bows to the man, and, head lowered, informs him of the Holy Father's request to gather all the goddess's servants to his side. The Archbishop's hand trembled above the sheet of paper, gripping the pen tighter, showing how much Bachman tensed at the words of the woman who had just entered. With regret on his face, he turns to the woman, stops writing. The time has come, and Bachman understands this perfectly. All the goddess's servants gathered around the Holy Father's bed, mourning his impending death and listening intently to his final words before passing into another world. The Holy Father stretches his hands upward, incoherently, pausing with each breath, saying that the goddess Asperia has not yet abandoned any of them. His hands rise higher towards the fresco depicting the goddess Asperia's appearance. She, he says, will soon appear to the saints in the form of a child. Thunders cracken outside as the Holy Father gives his final orders to the goddess's attendants, begs them to find the sacred child ASAP, and then kicks the bucket. The crowd gathered around him starts bawling their eyes out, wailing and sobbing, realizing the hero of the whole damn continent is dying right in front of them, and they're powerless to stop it. The Holy Father's hands go limp, fall onto the bed, he breathes his last, and checks out for good. His death's a real gut punch to everyone's morale. The saints are outside, hashing out how to find the kid. They're worried about the calamity bearers finding out, so they decide to keep the Holy Father's death on the DL for now. Bachman's standing off to the side, lost in thought, when a raindrop suddenly smacks him in the face, snapping the Archbishop out of his head. A few seconds later, one drop turns into a monsoon, and the heavens open up, sharing humanity's pain and crying tears onto the earth as rain. Out of nowhere, Bachman hears a baby wailing. He's totally caught off guard, pinpoints where it's coming from, and hauls ass that way. The crying's coming from deep in the woods, which is where the Archbishop's headed. Totally ignoring the little annoyances, like puddles and branches in his way, he bursts out from behind another bush, and a faint, holy light illuminates his face. Bachman decides to push on and find out where it's coming from. The light's originating from the edge of a fountain, and it gets brighter the closer he gets, giving off this magical vibe like something otherworldly is going on. Bachman gets closer and finds a baby in a basket, the source of that magic glow. The Archbishop is blown away by this miracle. The kid in the basket wails loudly, then calms down a little when she sees Bachman, who thinks the baby's arrival is the Holy Father's prophecy come true. The Archbishop sits next to the girl, reaches out to her, sheds a tear of joy, and calls the baby the saint. He, like the other priests, has been waiting for her arrival. The saint looks at him like she understands everything the Archbishop's saying, and even stops crying, like she's listening intently to Bachman's words. But her mood changes real fast. Her eyes fill with unjustified rage, aimed right at the Archbishop. The girl flies out of Bachman's arms, kicking him in the face and saying something garbled that basically means, "Get the hell away from me!" The saint, a name only the embodiment of the goddess could have, is meant to take a place even higher than the Holy Father. She's supposed to save the continent, using all the power she was born with, protect the people from all kinds of disasters, and save them from the witch Lyanna. But the saint, even to her own surprise, turns out to be Lyanna reborn, and she ain't saving anyone. She's furious at the archbishop for worshipping her. Purple eyes and beautiful blonde hair are only found on the goddess, which is why Bachman confidently calls the girl the saint. Maria's so freaking happy, she's crying her eyes out, and George III is convinced the Holy One's arrival is a blessing for everyone on the continent and beyond. The three of them huddle up around the Holy One, practically breathing down her neck, thanking her for showing up so quick. The kids giving them the stink eye, totally baffled by how clueless and naive they are. There's no way these guys could ever figure out who she really is. She's pissed at how screwed up everything is. She wasn't supposed to end up in this body. Lyanna remembers every life she's lived. She's been a princess in an empire, a slave with zero will. She's even been land animals like a deer, a cat, a bird, even a fish. Lyanna's been reborn in tons of different creatures. She's so sick of this endless loop of life and death, she decided to try and destroy the world just to break the damn cycle. Lyanna's drowning in despair over this rebirth. She's lived over 100 lives, and she still can't stop it from happening again. The kid starts bawling, letting loose all the pent-up emotions, and creating a glow around herself with divine power. Bachman's jaw drops. Lyanna clocks him, remembers their last meeting, and thinks to herself that she's a freaking atheist and doesn't believe in the goddess. She'd tangled with the archbishop back during the Holy War, but he was way younger then, more of a sacred shield than a Bachman. Man, he's aged terribly since then, face all wrinkled, rocking a beard and totally bald. Her eyes widen, trying to figure out how long it's been since her last rebirth, and she starts thinking about her friends. Lyanna has no clue where they are now, how they're doing, how the war ended, what happened to anyone she knew. She's totally in the dark. Suddenly, Sister Maria gently lays the baby on her back, which really throws her for a loop. She gives a sweet smile and tells the saint she's gonna change her diaper, and without another word, she gets right to it. Lyanna freezes up, but it doesn't save her from the diaper change, and despite her screams about human rights violations, the deed is done. This is seriously driving her nuts. She clenches her tiny fists and squeezes her eyes shut to hold back a flood of hysterical tears. She's losing it, vowing to get her powers back and kill everyone involved in that whole diaper fiasco. After some milk, the saint falls asleep right in Maria's arms, who suggests to Bachman and George they keep the saint's birth quiet to avoid unnecessary drama. The archbishop agrees with her, but points out the saint needs protection because the forces of darkness are still around, and he's gonna keep thinking about it. But George cuts him off, tells Bachman to chill and do his job, assuring him that he and Maria can protect the kid. The saint will be safe. He's about to say something else, but he's cut off by the creak of the massive front door. George and Bachman both turn to the sound at the same time, giving the newcomer the once-over. He's right on time. Standing in the huge doorway is a little boy, George IV. He looks a lot like his dad, but you can tell by his face he thinks way different. George is super smart and talented. Paladin blood runs in his veins, but Bachman thinks he's still too young. George III asks his son to introduce himself to Bachman and Maria, trying to show off how well-mannered he is. The boy just bows silently in response, and his dad makes excuses, saying young George isn't that outgoing yet. George IV clenches his fists tighter, thinking about why he's here and what his dad just said, and figures out his dad's full of it. He's been assigned to protect the saint, and he thinks it's totally boring and lame. He wants to run his own life. He just sees the Holy One as a little kid and thinks she doesn't need any protection, and that he shouldn't even have to deal with this stuff. The boy remembers his dad's words about just watching the girl, and it pisses him off. He wants to be independent and get out of this house. Meanwhile, back at the Dark Forces lair, they're playing chess and talking about the prophecy coming true and the Holy One's return. The girl with green hair, moving her queen with magic, says she's been waiting a long time for the Holy Father to finally kick the bucket and be 6 feet under. The guy playing chess with her scolds her for thinking like that and mentions the saying about a planted seed that turns into a tree and becomes a problem if you don't cut it down. He shows her what that saying means by using magic to break a chess piece into tiny pieces. The girl agrees, but keeps grumbling that nothing can be changed now because the Holy Father's dead and his dying prophecy came true, and the Holy One's been born. A burst of arrogant laughter cuts her off. The girl's eyes light up. She turns angrily to Jack, the source of the laughter. He has no right to laugh at her. Jack tells the girl to think about it, saying she's looking way too grim about the future. They're strong enough to deal with the Holy Father's prophecy. Jack mentions the Queen's death in his speech, which completely sets the girl off. Her eye starts twitching, and the veins on her face bulge with tension. She's screaming at him. He shouldn't have poked at that sore spot, and is about to blast him with magic. Jack's using his own magic to defend himself and fight back. The guy on the throne, who's been silently watching them scrap, tells them to knock it off. This argument is totally pointless. They'd be better off focusing on protecting this place until the queen gets back. With that, he orders Jack to eliminate the saint who showed up. Jack was already planning on it, and if it's what needs to be done, he'll go handle it right now. He walks past the girl towards the exit, and she glares at him with disgust. Jack promises to make it quick and quiet. As he leaves, he tells Chrome, the guy who gave the order, to take care of the queen and keep this place safe. The orphan's standing in front of the mage, begging him to train her. The guy doesn't see the point, since she hasn't improved at all, but she pleads for one more chance. So, the man asks her why she wants to learn magic, and the girl honestly says she has a wish she can only fulfill with magic. The man just stares at her, doesn't say a word, but decides to take her on as his apprentice. He asks the girl what her name is. The kid doesn't have one. The man's surprised and puts a reassuring hand on her back. This guy tells the girl from now on, she's Lyanna, a name that means bright light. Lyanna wakes up crying again because she keeps dreaming about her old teacher and mentor, and those dreams always mess her up. Lyanna didn't exactly pick up even basic magic skills right away, not at all. She probably wouldn't be Archmage of Runebelt if her teacher hadn't been there to help her out when she needed it. The man helped her learn the basics of magic, helped her get used to the world, and became like family to her. He showed her what happiness was, gave her a home, gave her a name that means something beautiful, and gave her tons of great memories. They weren't together for long, but every second she spent with the old man warmed her heart. She celebrated her first magic breakthroughs with him, wanted to reach new heights for him. He just handed her a happy life. And just as easily, he took it away, stole her happiness, made her lose her home, and turned her into a ruthless person. He's the one who created a powerful witch, a threat to the continent. He's the one who turned Lyanna into who she is now. This guy also created the forbidden magic that Lyanna's so desperate to find now. She remembers all this and gets ready to start hunting for her treasure first thing tomorrow. She's gonna search the whole palace. The goddess's attendants are freaking out, begging the saint, sent by the goddess, for protection from disaster. They're praying because of that messenger from Runebelt who showed up this morning and had the nerve to chop wood shirtless, scaring all the attendants half to death. And after chopping wood, he had the gall to hit on the servants delivering food, embarrassing them with his behavior and preventing them from working in peace. The attendants have to confess to the goddess every night, so that people like that don't show up again and bring them misery. Little Georg, passing by, overhears this conversation and gets deep in thought, staring at the terrified saints. Suddenly, his father calls out to him, snapping the boy out of his thoughts, and tells him to follow and not fall behind. Georg runs after his father. He realized the saint's decision to announce the Holy Father's death was dumb, because now Asperia's crawling with suspicious dudes. Georg III suddenly stops in front of the saint's bedroom, and his son's confused by it. The kid turns to his dad and sees tears streaming down his face. He's floored because his dad always seemed like the kind of guy who couldn't cry. Turns out, they're tears of joy. The goddess hasn't abandoned their family, even after the George screwed over the saints. His dad tells him not to screw things up with the goddess. She somehow managed to forgive them, even with their ancestors' mistakes. The boy gets it, but he's still shocked by his dad's devotion. They go into the saint's room and find an empty crib, which freaks them out. The dad bolts. George IV, stunned, scans the room, grabs his sword handle, spins around, and chases after his dad. In one of the building's hallways, he spots the saint crawling away from them. His dad doesn't see the little kid and keeps running. Lyanna's stoked her escape worked. Now she's plotting how to get into that room, since the doorknobs are way too high for her right now. George IV yells that he found the girl, and she, totally surprised by him popping up, starts crawling even faster. The kid catches up to the saint, grabs her by the collar, and calls her a brat. That sets Lyanna off, and she clenches her tiny fists. George IV can't dodge her perfectly aimed punch. The saint nails him right in the face with everything she's got. When George IV hits the deck, Lyanna celebrates. Her punch still packs a wallop, and she's still got the strength. The kid snaps out of it quick, gets up, and tells her to stay put. But Lyanna's not listening to a word he says. George IV's back on his feet, reaching out to the saint, gently pleading with her to crawl to him, clearly trying to warn her about something. But Lyanna's laser-focused on what the boy said about not going forward, taking it as a dead giveaway that she's on the right track. She speeds up, booking it towards the forbidden zone, which freaks George IV out. Little dust clouds kick up from her tiny feet. She's stoked about her successful escape again. This girl never listens to anyone, ever. Suddenly, she loses her footing, starts to fall, and realizes she's at the top of a staircase. She's starting to get why the boy didn't want her in this part of the hallway. George IV sprinting after her, the saints screaming, They both know if she falls, she's not just getting hurt, she's probably gonna die. The boy leaps after her, flying down the stairs, arms outstretched towards the kid. A couple of freaked out goddess attendants are watching the rescue go down. George manages to grab the saint, but he, completely ditching any self-preservation, slams stomach first onto the floor. Everyone watching holds their breath. Silence, the little girl's in George's arms, stoked to be alive. The attendants take her, spotting scrapes on her knees. They order George tied up, which confuses the saint. The kid got it worse than she did. George's dad rushes in, freaking out when he hears from the attendants that his son hurt the precious saint, and a bunch of people saw it. He admits his son's sin, goes to the attendants, and begs them to punish him instead. Tears start streaming down George IV's face. Some dude in the crowd shouts that the whole George family's going on trial because of this, and the boy starts crying, regretting his inexperience. The saint's watching all this, but can't step in. Nobody would get what she says anyway, and then George would definitely be killed. Suddenly, she hears a voice, addressing the crowd of attendants, telling them to listen to him, a guy who saw everything from the jump. The attendants turn to the speaker, who turns out to be a messenger from Runebelt. The saint recognizes his voice for sure, realizing it's Jack, the lust mage from Runebelt's Seven Calamities. Lyanna can't figure out why he's here, and neither can the attendants. But they still gotta hear the messenger out. Jack says George saved the kid's life, and she's staring at him, trying to figure out what he's up to. The lackeys are scared of him, don't want to mess with him. They don't get why this Runebelt envoy is sticking his nose in their business. Jack smiles at the crowd and steps toward the tied-up kid, who's probably gonna get wasted, excuses or not. He reaches out to George IV with an open hand, trying to reassure him, and brings it close to the kid's face. Jack asks the lackeys to hand George over if they're gonna kill him anyway. George is clearly confused by all this, but then it hits him what the envoy's saying, and his jaw drops. The crowd and the kid's dad are stunned too, hearing Jack say that. The handmaiden holding the saint clutches her tighter and asks Jack why they'd ever give him the boy. Lyanna's trying to see what's in it for Jack, but she can't figure out why he's doing any of this. She remembers Jack's quirks from her past life. He always thought love was the ultimate power. He'd often suggest crazy battle strategies, all about turning everyone involved into love slaves. Lyanna was always blown away by his ideas. She realizes Jack's always been this way, pulling love stunts, respecting every form of it, and able to make anyone fall for him. Honestly, the guy hasn't changed inside or out, which doesn't surprise Lyanna one bit. While she's thinking, Jack's trying to convince the lackeys to hand over the kid, saying it won't matter to them anyway. They start arguing back, challenging Jack, saying he's wrong and refusing to budge. Jack just smiles, takes a smooth step forward, and unleashes a cloud of pheromones, using his lust mage powers. Everyone around is speechless. Their tongues are getting twisted. They're acting drunk. Their cheeks are flushed. Jack's charming them with his powers. Lyanna plugs her nose, trying not to breathe in the sparkling cloud, so she doesn't fall under the envoy's spell. Jack still hasn't recognized her. He's too busy with some plan, and doesn't expect to find his ex-queen as a baby among his enemies. Lyanna decides to get the envoy's attention, starts squawking in the servant's arms. The girl freaks out. Jack notices the commotion and turns his head towards the saint, giving her a cold look. The handmaiden sets the little girl down, and Jack figures she's coming to him, because she's totally under his spell. The saint sighs, exhausted, and gets to her feet. The goddess's attendants gasp in shock, since kids that age usually don't walk. The girl wobbles, standing on shaky legs. All eyes are on her, and a surprised whisper ripples through the room. She starts taking bold steps toward Jack, which makes the dude feel incredibly pleased with himself. He crouches down, getting closer to the floor, because the little lady must be coming to meet him. He reaches out his hands, grinning like an idiot. Jack's super surprised when the saint walks right past him, dodging around him like a snake. The girl confidently walks up to George IV, who's sitting on the floor, and stands in front of him, giving the boy a scornful look, remembering how he blocked her way. The saint leans against his leg and carefully flops her whole body onto George's lap, grabbing everyone's attention. The goddess's attendants and Jack stare at her, blown away by what they're seeing. They're taking it as a good omen. The saint's wiped out, and she closes her eyes, ready to crash. She was trying to show the attendants that George is a good guy, and she pulled it off. Jack silently chews over the situation. Then his face changes, and he smiles at the saint, trying to let Lyanna know he's figured her out. The girl scowls, looking at him, trying to figure out if Jack's caught on or not, but she can't quite decide. George was forgiven for all his sins and the insubordination charge after the saint willingly knelt at his feet. From that day on, in the name of George III's father, George IV was appointed a Knight of the Saint, which totally shocked him later. The saint is put to bed, lying alone in a spacious room filled with fresh air, in a small crib. The girl seems to be asleep, but she suddenly opens her eyes, checking to see if everyone has left the room and the servants aren't watching her. Making sure everyone's gone to sleep, the saint carefully climbs out of the crib and heads towards the room's entrance door, planning to pull off another genius escape. She remembers Jack's changed expression. He definitely recognized her, and the girl wasn't putting on this whole act for nothing. The saint carefully pushes a huge chair towards the door so she can reach the handle, trying to make sure she doesn't get caught this time. The girl reaches for the door, but it suddenly opens on its own. The saint loses her balance and starts falling into the doorway. She throws her hands up, trying to defend herself, but she's already mentally preparing for the end of her 101st life. Suddenly, Jack appears in the doorway, quickly catching Lyanna as she falls, not letting her die in such a dumb way. He stares into the girl's face, calls her a little troublemaker, then confirms Lyanna's suspicions. He really does recognize her. Lyanna tries to greet him, but all she can manage are incoherent sounds that don't even resemble human speech. The girl gets super bummed about it, but at the same time, she's really happy that Jack showed up. She tries so hard to clearly ask Jack why he's here, but she can't. And she tries again, failing once more. Frustrated, the girl flares up with rage and starts yelling loudly, and still just as incomprehensibly. At that moment, Jack snaps his fingers, creating a small, bright yellow ball of magic next to him. The saint's ability to speak clearly returns the moment she shouts out curses, and the words fly out of her mouth perfectly clearly. The girl's stunned by her own voice, her eyes widen, and she forgets to close her gaping mouth as Jack admits to using spirit powers. Handling spirit power? That's his thing. Jack's playing with the spirits he summoned, asks Lyanna if she's happy to see him. The guy's still got the same old way of talking. Lyanna notices, and Jack throws back that she's still as rude as ever. Lyanna sees his showing up as a lucky break. Back in her last life, she wanted to use her powers, but now she's only pumping out divine energy. Jack feels for her being in a bind, but she ignores him, wants to know how he even got here and why. Chrome sent the Runebelt's messenger to Asperia to get revenge on his enemies by killing the saint. So now Lyanna's an enemy to her old buddies, and that's really messing with her head. She clenches her fists, all tense, and Jack's totally surprised, asks if she seriously doesn't remember her past life. Lyanna thinks about it. She remembers all her past lives, but she can never remember dying. Like those memories are wiped clean on purpose. It's just hitting her now that this whole thing, the rebirths and wiped death memories, is seriously messed up. Out of nowhere, Jack drops to his knees and starts bawling, making the main character jump a mile. She stares at him, tense, as he starts ranting about how life screwed Lyanna over and mourning her lost memories of the day she died. Lyanna tells Jack to stop crying and just lay it all out for her, because tears ain't gonna fix anything. Jack looks up at her, all bummed out, and the spirit next to him is bummed too. He's gotta tell Lyanna about her death in her past life. The night before the big battle at Holy Asperia, someone poisoned her right there at the feast. The night before they were supposed to ship out, Lyanna gathered with the 7 sins, and they all raised their glasses to victory. She gave a booming toast, telling her comrades they were totally invincible and victory was just around the corner. After that, she gave a couple more pep talks and raised her glass high. That's the last thing she remembers from her past life. After hearing Jack's story, she's glad that at least her followers carried out her will after she died, and asks Jack where they are now. Jack looks at her, full of sympathy. After the Queen of Calamity's death, only 6 of them were left. About 50 years after she died, all the sins started regretting that they couldn't protect her back then and missed their chance. The saints offered the dark forces a peace treaty, but all the sins were convinced they were behind the queen's death and refused to compromise. At the last celebration with the queen, there were only 6 disaster mages present. Someone skipped out. All the sins are starting to suspect the one who was MIA at the ceremony, but he's fighting back hard. A pointless argument breaks out among the sins, with each one suspecting their allies of murdering the queen. Chrome slams his fist on the table, loud enough to shut down the pointless noise, and it works. The room goes silent. He convinces his comrades the queen will return soon, and until then, asks them to protect Runebelt, do their duty, and safeguard the queen's body. Until she comes back, the sins can't trust each other, so Chrome only wants those loyal to the queen to stay. In the end, only 2 left. They disappeared down a deserted road, to a place where no one ever heard from them again. Beatrice, the sin of envy, heard the first sin who left had gone missing. Chrome sized her and Jack up, surprised to see them there. Beatrice is only staying for her dream of having a throne next to the queen's, and Jack is sticking around for Chrome, who'd probably be bored waiting alone. Chrome doesn't thank them, he just turns towards the setting sun, figuring they made the right call. The sins gradually forgot the saints' transgressions, but as soon as word got out about the Holy One's birth, Chrome sent Jack to kill her. But Jack quickly realized the Holy One was Lyanna reborn. Finishing his story, he smiled at the girl and asked her to come home with him. The Holy One refuses, saying she hasn't found her teacher's forbidden magic yet, but she likes the idea of ditching the temple with Jack's spirit power. Jack was thrown by her refusal. He put his hand on his heart and with genuine surprise asked what was behind the girl's decision. Lyanna looked down at the floor. Jack realized the forbidden magic was the reason for her refusal, and he voiced that guess out loud. The girl looked up and stared Jack straight in the eye. Being reborn as the Holy One is the perfect chance to find the treasure. She spent her whole past life searching for the forbidden magic her teacher created and isn't about to lose the chance to find it now. Jack thinks that if that's the case, she should head back to Runebelt, because there she can round up her people again and start the fight with Asperia. The Runebelt throne has been empty for way too long, and every time the Queen's followers look at it, the emptiness creeps into their hearts. He kneels down in front of Lyanna, saying all the sinners have been waiting and praying for ages, and their prayers were finally answered. He takes her hand in his and tells her to think about it a little longer. Lyanna thinks about how everyone in Runebelt is waiting for her like Jack is, and starts to doubt her decision. But she still decides she needs to be rational at a time like this. She tells Jack their enemies aren't as simple as they seem. The sinner's face instantly turns serious, and his hands drop. She doesn't want to make pointless sacrifices, and honestly admits to Jack that the reason she's looking for forbidden magic is just about her. She can't quite figure out what's going on yet, doesn't even know who's responsible for her death, so acting now is too risky. But the fact that Lyanna became a saint in her latest reincarnation gives her a great opportunity to find the forbidden magic. Jack looks at Lyanna understandingly, smiles at her slightly, and tries to accept that she probably won't change her mind. He picks up the saint and carries her to the cradle, agreeing that she'll be safe in a baby's body. As he puts her down, he says he won't breathe a word about her in Runebelt until she's 5. Until then, she needs to be careful so the saints don't figure out who she is. In the morning, Sister Maria notices the saint's not in a good mood. She's worried about her, because the saint needs to sleep well to be healthy. The girl shields her eyes from the light, thinking about last night. She figures it's been way too long since she died. She'll age eventually, like all the saints. But Jack hasn't changed a bit since they last met, and he's pushing 50, easy. Lyanna realizes none of her old crew have aged either, like Jack. Chrome's blurry face is the first that pops into her head. Thinking about Chrome, she worries. If he finds out where she is, he'll turn this whole powerful Asperia into a pile of ash with his rage. Lyanna remembers how humiliating it was, dying in her friend's arms right before the fight. Chrome's probably furious at her. Meanwhile, back in Runebelt, Jack announces his return to Beatrice, waving hello like a goofball. Disgust twists her face. She drops her pen and crumbles the paper she was just writing on into a ball. Jack tells her about visiting Saint Asperia, calls the saint his favorite person. Beatrice gets the hint and chews him out. Jack notices Chrome's empty spot, surprised. He asks Beatrice where the hell he went. She stops yelling, calms herself, and says Chrome just left, with a bouquet of flowers. Turns out she's right. He went to see the queen, probably snagged a couple flowers from the vase for her first. Chrome's down on one knee in front of the coffin, where Lyanna's sin-preserved body is resting, staring at her like he feels nothing seeing her lifeless body. He asks when she's coming back, but gets no reply. Lyanna's dead body lies in the flower-filled coffin, answering him with silence. You'd never guess she died from poison. She just looks asleep. The battlefield is lit by the setting sun, dead bodies and broken swords casting shadows on the sand, surrounded by an emptiness that screams doom. The imposing figures of the Runebelt envoys tower over the only living guy left on the battlefield, their faces hidden in shadow. Chrome tells Lyanna that this guy, Georg II, the Empire's strongest paladin, was sent by the Holy Father from Asperia to wipe out the Dark Envoys. Georg II surveys the Dark Envoys, then his gaze locks onto Lyanna, studying her cold eyes intently. Out of nowhere, the guy's eyes go wide, and he starts confessing his love for Lyanna, begging her to make him her slave. She just stares at him, jaw dropped in shock, unable to say a word in response to the guy's sudden declaration. Chrome's losing it behind her, going for his sword. Georg II's practically begging for a brutal end. Lyanna sees what he's about to do, freaks out, and screams at Chrome to chill the hell out. The saint sneezes in her crib. Just thinking about it gives her the creeps, and she starts shivering all over. Suddenly, Georg III pops up, looking worried, scaring the crap out of her. He asks if she's cold. He picks her up, holds her close to his face, and says he'll grab a blanket. The saint starts screaming and tries to get away from him. The guy's bummed. He asks his son why the saint doesn't like him getting close, and Georg IV figures she just got spooked by him appearing so fast. Thing is, Lyanna wasn't expecting to run into the descendants of the sin of sloth in this new life. Georg II was the sin of sloth, a paladin from the temple who betrayed the saints way back when, and joined up with a powerful witch. Now she's looking at two of his descendants, his nephew and his son. The nephew looks just like him, but Georg IV doesn't. Out of nowhere, the saint hears a voice asking if she's been waiting long. Her eyes snap wide open, and she stops screaming. Sister Mary walks in, clutching a soft bundle. Looks like she brought the girl a warm blanket. Tears well up in the saint's eyes. She's genuinely happy to see Mary, been waiting for her forever. Mary snuggles the baby close. The saint's blown away by the woman's gentle voice and soft hands, mentally thanking her for letting her breathe easy. Suddenly, a priest of the goddess pops his head in the doorway, asking Mary if she has the saint, and Mary asks what's up. The priest says Lord Bachman's requested an audience, and the saint needs to go meet with him, like right now. George IV asks Mary when Bachman became a lord. He was just an archbishop, right? Mary says he'll be the new Holy Father soon enough. She reminds him that Bachman found the saint, and now he's getting the highest church rank, so he doesn't have to bow to anyone. Mary walks into Bachman's office with the saint in her arms, escorted by George. Lyanna thinks no one could possibly have more influence than the goddess incarnate. Bachman asks Mary and George to leave him alone with the saint, says he needs to tell her something, and takes the baby from Mary's arms. Bachman says this won't take long, and the saint is surprised, realizing he's about to talk to a baby who shouldn't understand anything at her age. She's clinging to that thought, figuring Bachman's figured out who she really is. But boom! The ex-archbishop starts talking, cutting off her train of thought. Bachman's telling her about the first Holy Father, the guy who built this temple and left a fresco of the goddess inside. This fresco shows the goddess as a human. It's the last message the saints ever got from her through the Holy Father. The kid's totally absorbed in the picture, listening to the guy talk, but it takes her a minute to get what he's saying. Bachman tilts his head, his face goes dark in the shadows, and he tells the Holy One, his voice heavy, that no saint's gotten a sign from the goddess since. The girls hit hard. Bachman's words finally sink in. She realizes everything the last Holy Father said was a lie. The Holy One's thinking, so, the Holy Father was a fraud all along, and the Asperia Temple's been lying to people for over 500 years, all while preaching holiness. Even after all that, the goddess hasn't abandoned her servants. She sent a second revelation in the form of a holy child, her own avatar. He lifts the Holy One up to a statue of the last Holy Father's face and says that he was the one who predicted her birth. The stone statue, showing this great man, just stares silently down at the girl who's appeared, head held high. Looking at the statue, Lyanna thinks it's pretty damn ironic, considering she's got some seriously bad memories of that guy from her past life. Bachman tells the kid that this truth, and others, have been passed down by the saints through the ages in their chronicles, and now it's his turn. He spills the beans about the goddess's prophecy of the end of the world, left 500 years ago, and the archwitch Asperia, who was after forbidden magic. They took the witch down, but even in death, her followers keep trying to find that forbidden magic. They never give up. He thanks the saint for showing up, saying, without exaggeration, that she's the saint's last hope, a sign that the goddess hasn't abandoned them. The kid drops her gaze to the floor, thinking about what the new Holy Father is saying, and silently disagrees. Bachman and the other goddess's servants see the saint as their last shot. They believe in her and hope she'll save them, but they have no clue that the saint is actually a disaster waiting to happen, the one who will crush all their dreams, hopes, and this whole world. Lyanna finds the whole thing hilarious and giggles quietly, enjoying how easy this all is for her. Lyanna figures this goddess doesn't even exist, but if she does, she screwed up big time letting Lyanna get reborn in this kid's body. Once Bachman finished his speech, the girl figured she'd ask him where the forbidden magic was. She tried telling him she wanted to see it. Suddenly, Bachman's whole demeanor shifted. A dark shadow fell over his face, and his eyes just glazed over. Seeing the change in him, the girl remembered Jack's warning. If the priests found out who she really was, they wouldn't just let her walk away. Sweat broke out on her face as she warily glanced at the new Holy Father, anxiously waiting to see what would happen next. The guy's face tightened, his hands started shaking, then his whole body followed. His eyes went wide, and he just got lost in thought. The kid started wondering what was going to happen to her if Bachman had figured out who she was, even though he didn't seem bright enough to connect the dots. Out of nowhere, the guy bolts, sprinting towards the front door, carefully cradling the little girl in his arms. He throws the door open with a bang and yells for Sister Maria to let her know the Holy One has been busy. Lyanna's eyes and mouth flew wide open. silently amazed by the Holy Father's cluelessness. Watching everyone start to fuss around her, Bahman hands the Holy One over to Maria, who notices the kid's unnaturally pale face and frantically starts looking for a place to change her diaper. Bahman steps back a bit, sighing in relief, glad he doesn't have to change the baby's diaper himself. The guy tenses his arms, grabs the pillar, and bright light starts shining from under his hands. The veins on his face bulge. He clenches his teeth and strains to lift the massive pillar. Maria watches like it's no big deal, smiling as she tells Saint to check out her new stone crib. Bahman's stoked he managed to sneak away. Maria thanks him and assures Saint she'll change her diaper right away. Lyanna frowns. Those muscles shouldn't scare her. She used to have way more power back in the day. But she decides she'll try asking the Saints about forbidden magic again, when she can actually talk. She just has to wait. Next, we see the same place, but 5 years later. Bahman's helping a regular servant haul heavy sacks, and they're really grateful. It's no problem at all for the Holy Father. He's just happy to help ordinary folks with their everyday stuff. The goddess's servants, watching them chat about Bahman's thick hair, which he got after some kind of blessing. One of the servants asks what this blessing is, and the girl opposite him is about to answer when the saint dashes past her. The girl in the fluffy light pink dress, lit by the bright morning sun, runs while shouting the Holy Father's name. The man answers her call, a happy smile appearing on his face when he sees the girl. The saint runs straight to him, her dress and thick blonde hair flying in the wind from her quick run. Getting close enough, the saint jumps and tries to hit Bachman, but he puts up his arms in time to defend himself. The girl yells that Bachman should have taken her away, and the man just smiles dumbly and thanks the saint for deciding to grace him with her presence. Suddenly, they both hear a woman's cry, faintly coming from deep inside the building, calling for the saint to return to her. The girl turns and runs towards the voice, announcing to everyone that she's leaving, the servants remarking that the saint is very energetic, as always. The little saint is 5 years old now, and for 5 years she's been trying to find out from Bachman where the forbidden magic is kept. But every time the girl gets the same answer. Bachman says he'll tell her about this magic when she's old enough. Lyanna realizes the guy's not gonna tell her anything till she's legal, so she decides to figure this crap out herself. The saint runs towards the voice she heard while talking to Bachman. Turns out Sister Maria's looking for her to get her ready for the upcoming dinner. The kid hides behind some pillars and giggles, realizing the kind of power she's slowly starting to have over all these people, even though she's just a kid. She's also stoked she can finally connect with the divine power she got when she was reborn, no problem. Even though she's not exactly thrilled that her power's first big move was curing Bachman's alopecia, that bald patch disease. She decides she's definitely getting to the bottom of things today, when suddenly she hears this creepy voice from the dark, flatly saying he's finally found the saint. The girl looks at the guy and notices his weird energy. His face is totally hidden under a hood. Out of nowhere, he pulls a razor-sharp knife from his belt. This dude's about to do something bad, all while chanting praises to Runebelt. The knife glints in the saint's eyes. She watches the guy carefully, and when he screams at her to just die already, she makes her move. She jumps high, kicks the guy in the gut, and tells him to say what he just said again. The assassin doubles over, spitting everywhere, stunned by the little kid's strength, wondering how some ordinary kid could be this strong. Chrome's words flash through his mind, reminding him not to underestimate the girl just because she's a kid. His hood falls back, and he's lying on his back on the cold floor, still trying to recover from that hit. The girl plants her foot on his chest, towering over him, casting a shadow on his face, calling him old man with contempt, and forcing him to look her in the eyes. She tells him that since he's about to kick the bucket anyway, he might as well satisfy her curiosity before he goes. The guy's pissed at the saintess for thinking he'll just spill the beans, and he starts frantically searching his clothes for a suicide pill. The girl's one step ahead, pulling out the poison capsule she'd already found in his clothes and swiped during the punch. She tells him he shouldn't be giving up on his life, even when faced with overwhelming danger. Using her divine powers, she crushes the poison capsule, saying she won't let him die that easily. The saintess smiles ominously, looming over him, and orders him in a steely voice to answer her questions. This dude's out cold, and Lyanna's pissed when she realizes the guy knows jack squat. Calls him a total waste. The saint finds a knife on the guy and thinks maybe Jack was right about assassins starting to show up at the temple. She figures if the assassins are coming one by one, they don't know who she really is. In the knife's reflection, she sees her past life. Lyanna doesn't mind the assassins showing up more and more, but cleaning up their messes, wiping their memories, and hiding their weapons without getting any info. That sucks. She wanted to ask these guys how her friends are doing, but figures they're fine. Magically immortal, can't die of old age. George IV shows up in front of the saint, stoked he finally found her, and tells her Maria's been looking all over for her. The saint points at the guy on the floor, says he just passed out. and acts bummed that she's been seen near a body again. Maria praises the saint for finding the guy so fast and notes this isn't the first time it's happened. The girl just gets embarrassed. She sighs, secretly happy. The goddess's servants are oblivious, which works out great for the saint. George IV is cramping her style when it comes to finding magic. And if the saints find out about the assassins, they'll definitely beef up security. Maria walks up to the saint and pets her head, wishing her good night. The girl even likes this carefree vibe. Maria quietly leaves the saint's room as she drifts off, closing the door behind her, pausing for a second in front of it. Maria's sister's face is hidden in shadow, her lips pressed into a thin line. She silently takes off, trying not to make a sound. Servants of the goddess are sitting around a large triangular table in a brightly lit room. Bachman sits at the head, one seat is empty. The door creaks open loudly and unexpectedly, making all the servants turn their heads, their eyes widening. Two guards open the door, and Sister Maria enters, bowing her head as she apologizes for being late. Bachman smiles sweetly at her, saying she doesn't need to apologize, because they all just gathered. He adds that Maria looks worried. Bachman tells her to take the empty seat. Maria sits down, and the Holy Father declares the meeting about the saint open. The saints discuss how priests have been found unconscious lately, suffering from memory loss. And today, a dangerous weapon was found near one of them. But the goddess's servants think the scariest thing is that it always happens near the saint. Bachman says, "With everything going on, we need more guards for the saint." Two of the goddess's servants agree. Omar, one of the servants, gets pissed and argues against it. He says the church is broke. Two others back him up. Bachman considers his point and turns to Sister Maria, asking what she thinks. Maria jumps a little at his question. The woman puts a hand to her heart, looks at Omar, and says, "Yeah, maybe a little extra security wouldn't hurt, just in case. Right now, only George is guarding the saint, which isn't enough. Protecting the saint isn't something we can skimp on." Omar loses it and shouts that he's not against more guards, but the saints are flat broke and can't afford it. The saints just ignore him, talking about donations being down. But they still think the church has money somewhere. Archbishop Omar facepalms. These priests don't know squat about finances. He's in charge of the money, and this is giving him a freaking aneurysm. Omar begs the goddess's servants not to even mention more guards until they get more cash. Maria just quietly thinks about something. Suddenly, she stands up, raises her hand, and says if money's the problem, she has an idea to fix it. Lyanna's standing there, backlit by the setting sun, face all in shadow, talking to Chrome, about to drop some truth. Chrome's all ears, staring at her, and she's telling him she'll remember this life even after she's gone, and she'll be back in Runebelt for sure. The main girl hands Chrome the immortality potion, saying if he uses it, they can meet up again in a few decades. She squeezes his hand tight and begs him to protect Runebelt if she dies, before getting her hands on that forbidden magic. All this is Chrome's memory, the stuff he's deep in thought about during this convo, when some hooded dude snaps him back to reality. Chrome admits he's spaced out a bit, asks him to run it back, and the guy says the Holy Temple's beefing up security and holding tryouts to get more guards. Chrome grabs the tourney flyer, sees there's an entry fee, and can't believe the Holy Rollers are charging people to work for him. Hooded guy figures they're ramping up security because of all the attacks, and Chrome asks if there's any news on the last suicide bomber they sent. Turns out, the last bomber lost his whole memory and ended up serving the holy guys, and Chrome's just letting all that sink in. He figures there's no way some dumb priests pulled this off. It's gotta be the saint herself behind the whole thing. Right after he said that, Jack pops up in the window, totally hyped about hearing the saint's name. Scared the crap out of the guy, but Chrome didn't even flinch. Chrome figures Jack was eavesdropping with his spirit powers again. Jack just ignores him, practically bouncing, asking if they were really talking about the saint. Getting no answer, he begs to go to the tournament, saying he'd be eternally grateful if Chrome let him. Chrome sighs real loud, leans on the desk, and tells Jack, "No way." Jack's totally taken aback. Chrome stands up, his face darkens, and he declares he's going to this tournament the church is throwing himself. Jack's stunned. He tries to talk him out of it, saying he can hide his powers with his spirit energy, but Chrome's gonna get spotted instantly with his. Chrome shuts him down, saying everyone knows Jack is Runebelt's envoy. If he shows up, the jig's up immediately. Jack tries again, asking who'll run Runebelt if Chrome leaves. Chrome just rubs his ring in response, not saying a word. Then he takes the ring off and tosses it somewhere. The ring bursts into blue flames that slowly turn green. The ring ends up in Beatrice's hands. She never thought Chrome would trust her with something this important. Beatrice vows to prove she's a top-tier leader, telling Chrome to stay gone as long as possible and not to worry about a thing. Chrome says he trusts her, while a stunned Jack starts yelling, begging Chrome to hear him out. In response, a blast of blue fire magic slams into him, sending Jack leaping back in terror, and Chrome blames him for it. The rotting temple only started rising because Jack spared the saint 5 years ago, and Chrome's starting to suspect him of treason. Chrome points out that Jack used to be obsessed with Lyanna, but now he's suddenly switched his attention to the saint. He says he's slowly starting to believe the saint is Lyanna's reincarnation or something like that. Jack is horrified and shuts up, and Chrome declares he has to investigate everything himself and decide if the saint deserves mercy. The priests are finally about to make an official announcement about the girl's existence, and the saint is seriously ticked off by it. Maria also tells her that security around her will be increased due to the announcement, and the strongest, worthiest people on the continent will gather at the church for her sake. The saint yells that she doesn't want that, points at George, and says that he's more than enough to protect her. Georg bows, reminding her that the saint keeps saying how much he annoys her, and he's sorry he'll have to leave her soon. The saint was just screaming to get Georg off her back, not asking for a new bodyguard detail. Maria wipes crumbs from the girl's mouth, insisting it's for her own good, and asks her to understand the goddess's servants. The saint thinks that since she hasn't found the forbidden magic yet, extra security will only make the search harder and slower. The girl can't stop the tournament, so she decides to find another way to stop the security boost, catching Georg's attention. The saint walks up to Georg, grabs his cloak, and begs him not to leave, saying she likes him, and that's why she messes with him. That sets Georg off. He tears up, while Sister Maria, watching it all, just smiles sweetly at what's happening. Georg kneels in front of the girl, thinking he never would have guessed what the saint was thinking, since she always yelled at him. And the saint, in a tone that brooks no argument, asks him to go to the tournament, shocking and surprising him. The girl looks at Georg with a smug, determined grin, and he just shouts out, desperate, asking the saint what she means. King George III gives a grand speech, congratulating everyone who made it through the qualifiers. He says they're all worthy of being the saint's bodyguards. George announces the start of the tournament, throwing his hands up in triumph. The crowd in front of him roars its approval. Back in the crowd, George IV sighs, resigned. A drop of sweat trickles down his temple. He's clearly under a lot of pressure. The boy remembers how he ended up here, how the saint unexpectedly asked him to participate in this competition. She begged him to show his abilities for her sake, to crush all his rivals and win. George tried his best to refuse, but the girl gently took his calloused hand and said that she'd already chosen him to be her guard. She declares that her decision isn't just based on his strength, but on how hard he tries when he's around her, and only she knows that. The saint is trying to encourage him as much as she can. She asks him to win, so everyone knows that only George can be her bodyguard, no one else. George looks at the girl, surprised, but replies that he understands her order and will carry it out at any cost. The boy clenches the fist of the hand the saint touched and vows to become the best, so that no one would dare think ill of the saint's name. Behind Georg, two guys are talking smack, saying he got into the trials without qualifying because he's the paladin's kid. They're saying the kid doesn't stand a chance. Only one person ever passed the qualifying trial on their first try. One of the guys is trying to remember the dude's name, and then it hits him. It was Chrome. Chrome himself suddenly shows up right behind them, scaring the crap out of them, and tells them in a gravelly voice to move aside. The saint's sitting there, being watched by the holy sisters, getting her hair done, while the girl's reading a paper she was handed and looking totally confused. Turns out, it's the financial report of the money from the tournament that Omar gave the saint. Maria doesn't see why they're showing this to the girl. The saint stares thoughtfully at the paper, trying to make sense of it, squints, and puts a finger to her lips. She's shocked to realize almost 9,000 people came to the tournament, and says so out loud. Omar's stoked about the money for rebuilding the temple. The entry fees don't bring in nearly as much as the saint's images. They're selling like hotcakes. The girl asks how many copies have been sold. Omar replies that it's about 10 copies per person, and they just got an order from the Northern Kingdom for 10,000 copies. The saint's giving props to Omar and Maria for dreaming up and setting all this up. She's gotta admit, she never would have thought of a hustle like this. The kid trusts Omar and asks him to make damn sure the money goes to the right people. Omar's just staring at her, totally awestruck. He gets all fired up, swearing loyalty to the saint like crazy. The girl just gives him a confused look. Suddenly, a cool idea pops into her head. She starts thinking about checking out the competition herself. It's a brutal fight. The sounds of battle are everywhere. These guys are going hard for the right to guard the saint. Guys are battling in pairs in the open. The goddess's servants are watching, making the call on who wins and loses the fights. The saint sneaks over to the battlefield and watches the tournament from behind some wooden crates. She's surprised to see Runebelt's disasters are among the fighters. She figures any one of them could easily become her guard. She's trying to decide who she'd want guarding her, thinking about Jack and Beatrice, when something on the battlefield grabs her attention. The organizers are asking the fighters to introduce themselves before the fight. The saint leans out to get a look and freezes solid at what she sees. The girl sees Chrome from behind and is totally stunned by his appearance, but she can't be sure it's him. But looking at him, she remembers a younger Chrome complaining about the holy power of the temple's inhabitants that really got on his nerves. Lyanna walked up to the boy, gently stroked his head, and told him not to compare himself to others. The girl tells Chrome that he, the other 6 mages, and her teacher are her family, and she loves them all equally. Lyanna promises the boy to be everything for him, and in return, he looks at her with huge, hopeful eyes, trusting her completely. The girl remembers the good times spent with the Sins from Runebelt, Little Chrome, Cheerful Jack, and the others. She remembers Chrome as a very young, smiling boy, remembers how he grew up before her eyes, how he smiled at her when they met, how much he believed in her. But the memories fade as Lyanna sees Chrome before her as a stern man, with nothing in common with the youth she remembered. Chrome introduces himself, states his full name, and says he's 18 years old. The goddess's servants and the competition participants are charmed by him. Lyanna's shocked at how young Chrome looks. She thought he was already over 25, and decides this isn't the Chrome she once knew. She's trying to convince herself it's just someone who looks and sounds like him. Plus, Lyanna notices she can't sense any magic energy from him. But if this dude is the Chrome she knows, then he's definitely gonna win this tournament. She remembers teaching Chrome how to fight, how to hold a sword, giving him pointers on attacking, and drilling into him how to win, period. She freezes up when she sees this guy get into the stance, the one she drilled into Chrome back in the day. The opponent charges Chrome, swinging hard, ready to bring the pain, but Chrome just stands there, cool as a cucumber. But in a split second, he's got a death grip on his sword, explodes into motion, his eyes burning with rage, and he smashes the other guy's sword right out of his hand. The guy's stunned by Chrome's power, his hands shaking from the impact. But through the pain, he sees Chrome dropped his own sword, so he goes for it, thinking he can get the jump on him. Chrome ain't having it. He's on him in a flash, hand raised to deliver a knockout punch, his face a total blank. Wrath just grabs the dude by the face and slams his head into the ground. The guy's so caught off guard, he doesn't even get a chance to fight back. Chrome glares down at the unconscious guy sprawled in the dirt, his head making a small crater, and barks, "Weakling!" The holy woman's so stunned, she can't stand and collapses, making a racket. One of the attendants notices, spotting her. That's gotta be Chrome. She felt his full magical power during the attack. He only used the weapon as a distraction. People are noticing the holy woman, asking if that's really her. The goddess's attendant is freaking out. Chrome's locked on her too, staring with this cold, hateful look that could kill. The holy woman looks into his empty eyes, tenses up, and realizes Chrome's planning to off her. 2 guys are back to talking about George IV, but this time they're acknowledging his wins, seeing as he made it to the finals. They admit they didn't take the kid seriously, 'cause of his age, figured he wouldn't get far. Turns out George is better than they thought. Still, George ain't winning again. His next opponent is Chrome, who he's been lucky enough to avoid until now. Chrome was already stronger, and now the kid's hurt, broke his arm. He's got 0 chance now. They're figuring all the kid's skills come from being a paladin, totally clueless about how hard he's worked to get where he is. These guys think the kid's a total weakling, just showing up to this tournament to look like he's trying. They're questioning his bloodline too. They're saying he only got into the tournament because someone pulled strings. Totally unfair to the rest of the competitors. They figure George has 0 talent, clueless about how hard he's worked to get better, or the crap he's had to deal with. The saint appears in front of George, checking out his injuries. She wasn't expecting anything less. She gives him a stern look. George apologizes to her and just breaks down crying. The saint tells him it's too soon for apologies, but secretly, she's trying to accept that it's over. Her life depends on George's fight with Chrome, and she needs to give him a pep talk, but he's in a bad way and she doesn't know where to start. George, with tears in his eyes, tells the saint that he really wanted to show her what he could do, to prove he was better than everyone else. The girl listens closely. She's been there herself. She starts thinking back to when she was a little kid. She remembers apologizing to her teacher, saying she really wanted to impress him, but she messed up the magic, and all the stones spilled out of the cauldron. The girl was shaking, waiting for her teacher's disappointment and anger, 'cause she'd burned the books he treasured. He examines one of the charred pages. This guy's asking Lyanna if she knows what her name means, reminding her it means light, and she shouldn't sweat the small stuff. Those memories fade into the teacher's death. Knights in armor executing him right in front of everyone. Rain coming down like crazy that day. The girl's eyes are glued to the staff those guys took from her teacher. It looks busted up. Leanne's freaked out, close to tears. The teacher's blood is washing away in the rain. His skin looks all wrong, and people are just watching him die like it's a show. The saint's thoughts snap back to a clear, sunny day, remembering how happy the teacher was that she wasn't hurt in the book incident. The saint clenches her fists and decides to go over and pat George on the head. The kid's super surprised and asks her what she's doing. She tells George he did a great job, calls him her knight. He's just a kid. He's got plenty of time to get even better. Messing up is okay. Everyone fails, and there's gonna be a ton more. But today, George did good, and that's enough. The kid starts bawling even harder, which totally spooks the saint. She figures George has been holding it all in. That's why he's crying so loud. George throws his arms around the saint, and she hugs him back. This temple vibe's messing with her. She's getting too soft. But then the saint thinks, maybe she's acting this way because she was once in the same boat as George, but decides to drop it. The saint asks George to keep her healing him with divine power a secret, and asks him to fight without regrets. George nods enthusiastically. He gets it. The girl is amazed how quickly the bummed-out kid snapped out of it. George offers to take her to her room, but she refuses and is going alone. George nods in response and thanks the saint for her help. The saint turns to him with a wide smile and says she'll only accept his thanks after the victory. The girl walks down the empty hallway and regrets refusing George's help. Because using that divine power really drained her, she's exhausted. The saint is happy when she spots Sister Maria ahead, looking for her, and is about to run to the woman to let her know she's there. The girl opens her mouth to call her sister's name, but a man suddenly appears from behind, stopping her. He covers the saint's mouth and drags her around the corner. Deeper into the hallway, the girl desperately resists. Maria hears nothing and walks by. The man orders the girl to shut her mouth, and she's trying to figure out how he snuck up on her so silently, since she always noticed the suicide attackers before. She decides not to overthink it and bites the guy's hand. His skin turns this sickly color, and he screams in pain. The saintess hits the floor. The dude's cursing, and she's trying to figure out why she can't feel his magic energy, which is usually super bright. She decides to worry about that later, and uses her divine power, which she figured would drain him quick and make him give up. But to her surprise, nothing happens to him. That kind of blast should have dropped him, but the divine attack is doing jack. He walks closer to the saintess and raises his hand, ready to strike. She's too slow to react. The guy hits her in the back, pins her to the ground, and laughs at how helpless she is. She looks up at his face through the pain. Standing over her is a priest. It clicks. That's why her divine powers weren't working on him. The priest starts rambling about overthrowing the temple, saying the saintess is responsible for all their failures, and pulls a knife. The girl realizes she doesn't have the strength to fight back, and the man raises the knife, ready to kill her without mercy. He's smirking, totally confident he's won. But then someone else suddenly appears behind him and swings, hitting the priest upside the head. The priest eats dirt, knocked out cold, as the holy woman stares up at the guy towering over her, freaked. Turns out it's Chrome. The girl's trying to figure out his angle, because she thought he was gonna ice her. But now he's playing hero and messing with her head. Chrome drops her new name, which catches her totally off guard. She's fighting to keep it together and not blow her cover. Chrome drops to a knee in front of her and asks how she ended up like this, calling her by her real name, Lyanna. And bam, she's flashing back. Lyanna's playing chess with Chrome, telling some story about her life, and saying she doesn't buy into love. She claims love's a total lie, because even the guys who swore they were into her never recognized her after she was reborn. She looks up at Chrome and sees him staring at her, all gloomy with his head down. She asks him what's eating him. Chrome says he can't just shrug off a story like that. Lyanna looks down at the table, thinking about what he said. Chrome says there's no way in hell he'd ever make that mistake. Lyanna's eyes go wide, totally surprised. The girl's thinking about how dead serious Chrome sounds, and it's throwing her for a loop. She's speechless. Chrome asks Lyanna why she looks like that, but the girl is confused, since no one has recognized her yet, not Jack, not even the strongest mages. She makes a questioning sound. Chrome leans over her, silently staring harshly into the girl's face. He leans in even closer and asks if Lyanna really remembers nothing. The girl tries not to show her embarrassment, so as not to give herself away. She realizes that if Chrome figures out who she is, he'll take her with him, and at worst, start a war. And she'll never get her hands on the forbidden magic. She tries to pretend she's just a regular kid, forces out some tears, and says she got really scared and almost cried, acting like she doesn't know anything. Chrome's face turns cold. The girl calls him Sir Knight and thanks him for saving her, noticing how stern his face is and the blood-chilling atmosphere around him. Maria spots the two of them, calls the saintess by name, loudly asking what's going on here. The girl is happy to see her and jumps to her feet. Maria examines her face and notices that the saintess is badly injured, asking if anything dangerous happened to her. The girl replies that she was rescued in time. Chrome gets to his feet and informs Maria about the assassination attempt on the saintess, offering to take the would-be killer for questioning and torture to find his boss. Maria sincerely thanks him for saving the saintess. The girl looks at him warily, but Chrome doesn't say anything else. He just stares at the girl, a little sad, politely apologizes, then turns and walks away. Bachman's freaked out by the news about the attempt on the saint's life. His eyes go wide in panic, and he starts talking, almost shouting. Maria's talking to him about maybe moving the tournament finals, since they haven't caught the mastermind, and it could be dangerous. Bachman agrees with her. The saint calls out their names. Maria and Bachman whip around, looking at the girl with interest, ready to hear what she has to say. The girl's standing by the window, saying she's all right, and asks them to hold the finals as planned. Bachman tries to talk her out of it, but the saint cuts him off, saying the tournament's the perfect place to announce her existence, because a lot of people look down on her. The girl's thinking that, yeah, she's not thrilled about being reborn as the saint, but she definitely doesn't want to die at someone else's hands. Bachman puts a hand on his heart, kneels down in front of the girl, and bows his head. He swears to the saint that he'll always protect her. The Holy Father turns to the goddess's attendants and orders them to increase security, and if they spot anyone suspicious, immediately stop the tournament. He tells them not to forget the saint is the most important thing right now. The girl gives them a stern look, and all the attendants reply together that they understand the order. The saint's stuck on how Chrome knew it was her, when everyone else is totally buying that she's the real deal. She's turning it over in her head, standing on a sun-drenched balcony. Gazing down at the battlefield with a stone-cold face, spread out before her is this massive empty space, with just Chrome and George standing there, and you can see the tension in her posture. She still can't figure out what Chrome's up to, but she's made damn sure she's gonna do what she has to, no matter what. Watching the fight unfold, the saint notices all the scars on George's body, meaning he's clawed his way up to get this far. She says everyone here is rooting for these guys, and their skills are already proven, no matter how this thing ends. She raises her hand in a gesture of blessing, wishing them a good fight. The final round of the tourney, George IV versus Chrome, begins. The brutal fight between George and Chrome is on, and neither one is giving an inch. They're both coming at each other with everything they've got. Chrome, looking completely unfazed, comments on how totally disgusted he is by divine power. But George is scowling hard, staring him down. Sweat's pouring down his face, the kid's beat, but he's made up his mind he ain't quitting, no way. Bachman's asking the saint who she thinks deserves to win, but honestly, she'd just give it to both of them. She's pointing out how different they are. I mean, Gorg worked his butt off to get good, but Chrome? He's always been crazy talented. Thinking about it makes her drift back, like when little Chrome showed her that stone bird he made with magic. Lyanna couldn't look away. She was blown away by his talent, especially since she couldn't even make that bird the first time. Chrome was so stoked he nailed it on the first try, kept saying it was all thanks to Lyanna, and he really wanted her to tell him he did good. But she was speechless, all these feelings, jealous of his talent, and happy for him mixing together. She finally pulled it together and just gave him a dry, good job. The saint's staring off into space, lost in thought, but her eyes are glued to the battlefield, and Chrome's starting to notice. The dude turns to her, wondering what's got the saint so preoccupied right now. Big mistake, Chrome. Your opponent's got some serious close-quarter skills, and spotting that hesitation, Georg lands a quick sword strike. Still, Chrome's got the chops to block the next one. He slams his sword into Georg's with force, but Georg manages to hang on to his weapon. Even so, George IV managed to nick Chrome with his first strike, the sharp blade leaving a clean scratch on his cheek. George figures he's found the guy's weak spot and decides to hang back a bit, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. But Chrome's getting pissed off. He starts pushing down hard on his sword. George's legs are buckling. It's getting harder and harder to hold his ground. Chrome says his patience is wearing thin, and he doesn't have to play this weapons game. He's just gonna crush George and end it with one blow. But his plans get interrupted by the shrill screams of the goddess and Bachman's servants, yelling the saint's name. Chrome whips his head around. He sees the saint's small body plummeting from the high balcony at top speed, and nobody's even trying to catch her. 5 minutes earlier, one of the goddess's servants had dashed onto the balcony at full tilt, putting the guards on edge with her sprint. But they let her through to Bachman, who was also taken aback by the girl's sudden appearance, distracting him from the tournament. Out of breath, the girl explains that something collapsed during the temple repairs, and a lot of people are trapped under the rubble, and the priests can't help them. Bachman frowns. This freaks him out, and he decides to head to the scene himself and help the victims. He was going to warn the holy woman about his decision, wanted someone to stay with the girl to prevent an accident, but she didn't even notice him. The girl was glued to the action on the field, totally zoned out. Maria smiles, seeing that. She thinks it's cute how the holy woman's so focused on the competition, she doesn't even hear people talking behind her. The holy woman's thinking, even though Chrome's clearly got the edge over Georg, the guy's fighting tooth and nail, actually making progress. She's wondering what'll happen to Chrome if Georg wins. When suddenly, a woman rushes onto the balcony behind her. Maria tries to shout and stop her, which gets the holy woman's attention. But it's too late. The maid's already close enough. The woman says the holy woman's death will bring down Bachman. The people behind her are screaming, frozen in terror. The holy woman just stands there, speechless. The maid shoves the girl hard, and she goes flying off the balcony, back first, as the crowd, Bachman, a terrified Maria, and the guards all scream. The fall's over in seconds, but she still has time to think about dying. The girl decides that, all things considered, this life wasn't so bad. She barely has time to think she never got to find the forbidden magic, or meet her followers, because someone catches her right before she hits the ground. The girl's clueless why she didn't feel anything when she fell. She hears the crowd gasping and slowly opens her eyes to the sound of their voices. The saintess realizes she landed on something soft. It hits her. It's Chrome's body. He's lying unconscious beneath her. The girl's horrified, realizing that despite his magic, his body's just as fragile as any normal person's. She knows Chrome's gotta be seriously messed up from trying to catch her. He's out cold, and she's trying everything she can to wake him up. She's yelling his name, shaking him by the shoulders, but he's not responding. This freaks the saintess out, big time. She freezes, paralyzed with fear. A scared judge approaches them from behind, flag in hand. He checks Chrome over, but doesn't say anything about his condition. Instead, the guy declares George the winner. He noticed Chrome went outside the ring during the fall and disqualifies him. The goddess's attendants, their hands shaking, feel Chrome's limbs and determine both his arms are broken. They call for a healer to the battlefield. The saintess stands off to the side and hears the crowd start loudly arguing about George's unfair victory. She turns towards the voices and clearly hears their disapproving chatter, calling George a weak kid and the whole tournament a joke. It hits the girl that this talk's gonna mess Georg up, so she turns to check on the kid. Georg's shaking like a leaf, body all tense. He hears the crowd trash-talking him, saying he doesn't deserve to be a knight, and he's fighting back tears right there on the field. The girl's getting furious at how everyone's acting, and she rushes over to Georg to help him out, leaving the goddess's attendant totally confused back there. Georg's standing alone in the middle of the field, getting burned by all those angry stares, and he's thinking maybe the people in the stands are right. He didn't want to win like this. Winning or losing didn't matter to the kid. He just wanted a fair sword fight to show off his skills, and now everyone probably thinks he's weak. Georg's starting to believe it himself, that he ain't got a shred of pride. But then the girl sneaks up behind him, pulling him out of it. The saintess gently walks up to Georg and takes the hand that's holding his sword, which totally catches the kid off guard. She admits to herself that she didn't plan for things to go this far, but now that the tourney's over, she can't just let it slide. She rips off her hair decorations, lets her hair down, and unleashes a wave of divine power to grab everyone's attention. She starts her speech, swears by the goddess, says she's been watching the fights, saw the honest hustle and dedication of the fighters, and the crowd's all ears. The holy woman's saying she's gonna make George IV and Chrome personal knights, honoring their courage. George is trying to argue with her, but the holy woman shuts him down quick, saying he doesn't get to question her decision, and she doesn't want to hear a word about him not deserving it. The girl's praising George for how well he did, and the kid starts quietly crying, still holding the holy woman's hand. She's smiling at him, but suddenly, she hears rustling behind her and turns around, seeing this nasty scene of Chrome being loaded onto a stretcher, all messed up, and taken to the hospital. Chrome's remembering when Lyanna was showing him magic, telling him to watch close, keep his eyes locked on her. The girl was trying to give Chrome tips on casting, but her explanations were super vague. The kid didn't get a thing she was saying, but he didn't say anything out loud. Lyanna suddenly jumped up, handed Chrome a bag of food, and said she had to go. Her teacher was probably waiting for her. The kid's staring at the bag, confused. Lyanna waves goodbye, promising to bring more food later, and tells him to share it with his friends. Chrome wakes up and calls out to the girl as she's walking away, wanting to tell her his name and ask hers. He's totally blushing. Lyanna flinches at him shouting, but turns back to the kid and introduces herself, spelling out not just her full name, but what it means. So the girl's talking to this old beggar, the one she just gave the food to. She's saying she brought a little extra today and asking him to share it with those who are hurting. The old man sincerely thanks the girl and politely asks her to pass on the people's gratitude to Lord Runebelt. Chrome's around the corner, checking the girl out. He thinks he's hidden, so he leans out a little further. Suddenly, Lyanna pops up behind him, practically glowing with magic, and shouts, "Chrome, what are you hiding here for?" The kid jumps, but Lyanna ignores his fright, conjures up a food package with magic, and says she's been looking for the boy for a long time and is glad to finally find him. The girl hands him the food and says if it's not enough, he can come to her or the teacher and ask for more. Chrome asks if there will be enough food for the teacher and Lyanna if they keep sharing with everyone, and if they will be in trouble if the Emperor finds them and tries to hurt them. Lyanna jumps to her feet, all offended, and yells that nothing like that can happen, and the Emperor just looks down on everyone anyway. Lyanna puts her hand to her heart and assures the boy that the teacher can protect her no matter what. Then she gives a radiant smile and not so seriously says that she's pretty strong herself and can handle her own. Looking at her confident face and wide smile, Chrome just thought, "Man, it'd be awesome if I could make this girl happy someday." Lyanna's standing in the middle of a deserted battlefield, pondering the meaning of mortal life, staring at the dust rising from the barren, rotting ground. She decides that the beauty of the world and human happiness are pointless because people die, and after death, all problems become meaningless. Tears stream down the girl's cheeks as she turns to Chrome, standing behind her, and says she misses her teacher terribly. Chrome notices that since Runebelt's death, he hasn't seen that beautiful, bright, and kind smile on Lyanna's face even once. He decided then and there that Lyanna would only smile as brightly as she did in childhood if she achieved her goal, so Chrome resolved to stay by her side. After her death, Chrome simply decided to wait for the girl's reincarnation, killing anyone who stood in her way. Shortly before her death, Lyanna told Chrome that she would be reborn in a new body, at best, the day after she died, and at worst, in 3 years. So Chrome figured the wait wouldn't be that long, and he eagerly awaited their reunion, bringing fresh bouquets to Lyanna's body every day. When the news about the saint reached him, he decided to kill the girl, seeing her as an obstacle for Lyanna. Chrome was going to kill her with his bare hands, so the saints would notice his magic. But right as Chrome was plotting to ice the kid, she and George zipped past him. George was like, hounding her to practice her speech. Chrome noticed how the saintess answered George, and how fast she bolted away from him the second rehearsals came up. Instantly, memories flooded back of how much Lyanna hated cramming, how she avoided it at all costs. Chrome knew right then and there the saintess was Lyanna. Figuring the magic shutdown had just cranked his senses up to 11, he picked up almost immediately that the saintess's habits and mannerisms were practically identical to Lyanna's. George had already scolded and led the girl away, while Chrome was mulling it all over. But with this realization, Chrome was hit with another question. He was trying to figure out why Lyanna hadn't come back to Runebelt with Jack, and decided she must have forgotten everything. Then, he cooked up an even more messed up idea. He decided he meant absolutely nothing to Lyanna. Chrome was pissed and clenched his fists in anger. The man decided he absolutely had to get the girl back to Runebelt. He was standing on the little balcony outside her room, waiting for the perfect moment to sneak inside. He heard the saintess start crying in the room and took a peek. He heard the girl was crying about a nightmare, and Maria came over to comfort her. Chrome looked at the girl sadly and turned away. He decided if Lyanna was living happily here, he had to leave her be and just slip away quietly. Maria called the girl over for a big hug. Happy as could be, the saint went right to her, melting into the hug and clinging tight. Even after the hug, the tears kept flowing, but a satisfied smile spread across her face as she started to drift off. Chrome silently slipped off the balcony. He decided he'd act like he didn't recognize her next time they met. He was pissed at Lyanna, but he still freaked out and rushed to save her from falling, because he respected her. When she was trying to bring him around, he mumbled at her not to use his name, like they were strangers, but she didn't hear him. She kept getting closer, but instead of Little Saint, Chrome saw Lyanna. The changes in her were really messing with him. Chrome woke up after getting wrecked, thinking he had to ditch his feelings. Lyanna was alive, yeah, but she wasn't the same person she used to be. He carefully sits up in bed, looks around, and realizes he's in the hospital, but he's barely surprised. Chrome's pissed that he passed out from such a minor injury. He's about to dive deep into that thought, but then something warm touches his palm. He looks down and sees Little Saint lying next to him, clutching his finger tight and snoring softly. Chrome stares at the girl, stunned and frozen. He purses his lips, overwhelmed by emotion, and gets ready to do something. But then a guy walks into the hospital, making Chrome flinch, but he doesn't let go of the Saint's hand. Chrome recognizes the guy as Bachman, who used to be called the Holy Shield, and Chrome flashes back to a young Bachman. But he snaps out of it and realizes Bachman's old now. You can't call him Holy Shield anymore, he's Holy Father now. Bachman asks Chrome how his hands are, says the Saint healed them with her blessing. and Chrome's shocked to see his hands are fine. The dude sadly looks at the sleeping saint, and Bachman decides to tell him about how the saint fixed his hair. Chrome cuts him off, kinda harsh, saying he got disqualified and has no reason to stay, stands up and lets go of the saint's hand. The guy gets out of bed, puts on the clothes he took off before the tournament, says he's leaving, and heads out past Bachman. The Holy Father, without turning or showing any emotion, asks if the guy's name is really Chrome. He says Chrome looks a lot like someone he used to know, and Chrome knows exactly what he's talking about, tensing up, his face in shadow. Bachman says it's been a long time, and he probably doesn't remember much. But some things, you just can't forget. Bachman knew for damn sure, out of everyone he'd ever known or fought, Chrome was the strongest and most dangerous. Bachman and Chrome are standing there, faces grim, lost in memories of years gone by, and the brutal battles they fought. Bachman smiles, says Chrome looks a lot like a guy he knew, but it can't be him, because the Chrome he knew would be ancient by now. Chrome looks at the smiling Bachman, remembers that despite his friendly face, the guy always went for your weak spots, showed no mercy. Chrome clenches his fists, remembering how Bachman forced Runebelt to retreat. But with a straight face, he replies he doesn't quite follow. Bachman says he doesn't care who Chrome is, since he's already saved the temple's treasure twice, and even the Holy Father couldn't repay that with his life. Bachman bows to Chrome, asks him to stay at the church, saying it's the Holy Woman's wish. Chrome's stunned that this guy, who wouldn't back down to anyone on the battlefield, is bowing so easily and asking for help for the Holy Woman. It hits the guy that he won't be able to sneak Lyanna away easily. He'll be watched every second. Chrome's thinking about how much Bachman's debasing himself for the Holy Woman, unable to express his loyalty. Chrome decides to go to extremes. He asks Bachman if he meant the sin of wrath when he was talking about a hero, calling him the strongest he knew. He remembers Bachman's title and his own long-forgotten nickname, the Unbeaten Sword, and asks again if Bachman was talking about the sin of wrath, one of Runebelt's 7 scourges. Tilting his head, his face hidden in shadow, he asks with a dark smirk if Bachman meant that Chrome is a lot like the sin of wrath. The Holy Father straightens up and glares at the man, lost in thought, preparing to give Chrome an answer. But he's interrupted by the suddenly awakened saintess, who immediately draws attention to herself and starts complaining about the noise. Bachman asks the girl if she's awake. The saintess responds with a mumble, rubs her eyes, and yawns sleepily. The girl tells the Holy Father that her mouth is all dry, and the man, hearing this, immediately offers to go to the kitchen and get her something to drink. Chrome watches Bachman walk away and figures their conversation definitely took a wrong turn. And now, he's probably in a really bad spot. He decides to approach the saintess's bed and ask if she slept well, and she, in response, sleepily stares at his face, not recognizing him. She wakes up abruptly when she remembers how she healed Chrome yesterday, then fell asleep next to him. The girl looks at Chrome with terror in her eyes. She's super uncomfortable talking about what happened at the tournament, but the saint feels like she has to say something, so she's trying to start a conversation. Chrome sighs, all disgusted, and says she didn't live up to his expectations. He thought she was the goddess incarnate, but she's just a regular kid. The saint is pissed, but Chrome keeps going, saying she's weak, and he wasted his time on her. This whole thing was his plan to expose her. Chrome clears his throat, says there's no need to thank him, really. He just regrets not realizing sooner that she was a weak kid and overestimated her. The saint is shaking with rage. She snaps and yells that she knows so much, that her knowledge far surpasses her teacher's. Chrome kneels down in front of her and smiles. She realizes she's been had and calms down a little. Chrome confirms he knows who she is. He calls her by her real name, Lyanna. She starts getting angry again, frowning and clenching her little fists. She asks Chrome when he figured it out. The guy knew right away, saying she hasn't changed a bit, and neither has her killer personality. Lyanna loses it again and screams that she's still holding back. Chrome teases her, sticking his tongue out, but he quickly changes his tune, puts his hand on his heart. Chrome believed in her reincarnation because, in her past life, she promised to come back to him. Chrome throws her for a loop, asking why she didn't go back to Runebelt, and Lyanna silently weighs her answer. She has to come clean about her failed search for the forbidden magic her master left somewhere around here. She can't find the magic because Bachman refuses to tell her about it, saying she's still too young. Lyanna will find the forbidden magic, but only after she comes of age, when all the temple's secrets will be revealed to her. Chrome stares at her thoughtfully. Lyanna is stuck surviving in this tiny, awkward body and living in ignorance. Even after being reborn, she remained loyal to her master and still wants to find the forbidden magic. It's like she's bound to it. If that's what drives the Holy One, then all Chrome can do is follow her. He kneels before her, kisses her tiny hand, and swears to be with her always, until the very end. He agrees with everything she wants. He only wants her happiness and promises to support her in everything. She stares back at him, stunned, mulling over his words and her current situation. Chrome ain't going back to Runebelt, which is stressing Lyanna out. So she decides to ask him about it. He's floored by the question. He remembers the saint begging him to stay at the temple, pleading with him not to leave her, and telling the acolytes how much he meant to her. Just then, Bachman walks in. The saint, who can't recall ever saying any of that, figures he's the one bad-mouthing her. The girl flies at him, furious, ready to teach the cheeky old man a lesson and show him who's boss. The person Chrome cared for so much is alive and breathing in this world. He doesn't have to wait for her to return anymore. These thoughts, mixed with the saint's angry yelling, make Chrome happy, and he starts cracking a wide smile, chuckling a little. The saint's knights are having their official meeting in one of the temple's big halls. Chrome's standing there in his new uniform, looking down at little George with interest. The boy's looking up at Chrome, the opposite way. He's a little nervous, you can see it in his tight face. The knights are officially greeting each other. After the bow, George walks up to Chrome and very quietly asks if he can ask him something he's been wondering about. Chrome just nods, and George asks him how old he really is. The guy's taken aback. He was gonna lie, but this time he decided to be honest about his age. Georg wasn't ready to hear such a big number. Chrome was 68 years old. Georg III walks in, blown away by Chrome's confidence and power. He asks him to protect the saint from anyone who threatens her. Georg thinks it's most likely that the saint will be attacked by messengers from Runebelt. He brings up Jack as proof, but Chrome disagrees. Maybe the job's coming from the inside. Someone in the temple might have their eyes on the saint. Georg's stunned, but his father calms him down. He says that's possible too, because not everyone likes the saint. While they're hashing out a plan, the saint walks in. She remembers the attackers' conversations and figures they want to take over as Holy Father. The girl stops talking and stares at Chrome's face, checking out his clothes. The man just keeps looking back at her. Chrome looks good in his new outfit, and the saint tells him so. Chrome thanks her for the compliment. They quickly move from pleasantries to the heart of the matter, discussing the saint's attacks. Georg watches the conversation, jealous. The only one who'd benefit from Bachman leaving as Holy Father is brother Omar, since he's next in line. The saintess is shivering from cold and fear, but she's trying not to show it, telling everyone to be careful and avoid Omar's sight. Georg notices the girl shivering and goes to take off his cloak to cover her, but he's too slow. Chrome beats him to it, throwing his huge cloak over the saintess's shoulders. She's still a little chilly, but sincerely thanks Chrome for his care. Watching all this, Georg is totally thrown. Chrome, without even trying, is practically pushing the boy away from the saintess. Chrome knows the saintess too well. This unnerves Georg, because he's known her for 5 years, but can't react to her needs that fast. And Chrome, who hasn't even been around the girl for 5 weeks, gets her instantly. Plus, he's super strong and smart. It's like there's no room for Georg around the saintess anymore. He gets really bummed thinking about it, starts feeling sick, and tells the saintess. The girl asks worriedly where it hurts and what's wrong, wanting to heal him. But you can't fix emotional pain with a goddess's power. Georg gets that and heroically bolts out of the room, so he doesn't embarrass himself in front of the girl. He just needs to chill for a bit. The boy feels genuinely awful about what he did, because the saintess is worried about him, and he's straight up lying about how he's feeling because of some dumb insecurities. George III bolts after his son, while Holy and Chrome judge young George's obvious fakery. They move to the table. Chrome feeds the girl cake. They're talking about George's actions, and Chrome can't help comparing him to Beatrice. Holy doesn't like the comparison, but she agrees it's true. Beatrice used to whine whenever Lyanna gave Chrome more attention than her. George is probably acting weird for the same reason Beatrice did. Chrome just says it out loud, but Holy doesn't react at all. Chrome doesn't care about George's problems, so he drops the subject and keeps silently feeding Holy. They get back to the Omar theory, but the guy's busy with the books right now. He's slammed, which is his main alibi. Chrome and Holy are back to square one. They still have no suspects, and the girl's lost in thought. The girl decides to think like the perp, asking Chrome to map out a plan, imagining herself in the criminal's shoes. The guy's thinking back on everything that happened. Getting close to Holy now is impossible, not after security's been beefed up after those 2 failed attempts. Chrome draws an analogy, picturing Holy as an untouchable tree that he needs to take down. He's racking his brain trying to figure this out when he notices flowers at his feet, flowers from the clearing where that sacred tree grows, which makes him think next time they won't come for the saint herself, but for the people around her, the ones she cares about. That idea gets the girl's attention. She tenses up and starts running through the people she cares about, trying to figure out who's most vulnerable. Maria's always surrounded by people, so ambushing her directly is practically impossible. They could go after Chrome or Bachman, as in, a knight who's a close friend of the saint, or the Holy Father, the head of the temple. But if they try that, it'd be a miracle if the attackers even survived meeting those powerhouses. The people around the saint could be easy pickings, since it's easy to ambush them. No one expects an attack from behind. The second the saint even thinks about Georg's safety, the attackers jump the weeping fourth son, who can't fight them off. A bright flashlight appears in front of terrified Georg. The boy yells at the attackers, telling them to stop. He shuts up when they shine the flashlight directly in his eyes. Georg squints against the light, his face contorted. When his vision clears, he looks around the dark room they dragged him into, confused, trying to figure out who these guys are. They introduce themselves, they're all temple servants, and George even knows a bunch of them personally, others he just recognizes. He realizes with horror that they're not just guys, but priests, all on the payroll of this Mr. Omar. The men start laughing like hyenas, confessing their loyalty to Mr. Omar, grinning at the kid in a nasty way. George accuses them of attempted murder, and they don't even try to deny it. They think murder is the best way to save the temple. They're trying to save the temple from a witch hiding behind the saint's mask. But the only witch George knows is Lyanna, and she's been dead for ages. The kid thinks accusing the saint is just BS, and the guys laugh at his naivete. One of them asks if George really thinks she's the saint, if he hasn't noticed anything weird about her. George remembers all the girl's quirks, and he thinks she acts like she's lived more than one lifetime, which gives George some strange ideas. He's getting close to the truth, and the guy in the robe walks up to him and eggs him on to keep thinking that way. And then he starts trying to convince the kid that the saint's appearance is just a dumb scheme by Bachman to grab the top spot. He started laying into Bachman way too hard, totally threw George off, and the dude's claims were just shocking. Turns out, Bachman's got nothing to do with the conspiracy. He just handles the cash and isn't trying to change the temple hierarchy for his own gain. These guys are telling the kid way too much, trying to get him on their side. They want him to help them overthrow the Holy Father. They start cracking up again like crazy, asking the kid to say out loud that he's joining them, but all they get is silence. The kid's yelling, defending Omar and Bachman, people who are totally dedicated to the temple, warts and all. He won't let them get trashed. He's calling them out for trying to manipulate him, for slandering the saint. He's not gonna stand for anyone disrespecting the girl. But these guys can't stand his yelling. One of them grabs the kid by the collar and slams him back against the wall. George can't fight him off. The assassins are bummed they couldn't get through to George. He just won't listen to them, and they sure as hell aren't listening to him. The only way these guys see to fix this misunderstanding is to kill the kid. One of the killers reaches for his knife. George braces for the hit. Out of nowhere, something behind these guys shatters and explodes, and bam! Sunlight floods the room. Chrome's standing in the busted wall, looking down on these losers. They're so dumb they couldn't even cover their tracks. Omar, freaked out, is right behind him. He's pissed these guys cooked his books and caused him a ton of trouble. Chrome strides up to George and just tosses this knife-wielding dude away with one hand. He unties George, explaining he found him by following the sloppy kidnapping trail these amateurs left. The saint herself led the search. She was really worried about you. Chrome hands the kid his little sword. He was gonna handle these criminals himself, told George to rest. But the kid wants to teach them a lesson. He can't just stand by after hearing them trash-talk the saint. Chrome and George are ready to go on the offensive. The kid's eyes are burning with resolve. He's gonna defend the saint's good name with everything he has. Let's get this fight started. Omar's watching, frozen. He wants to remember every second of this for his memoirs. Thanks to two top-notch knights, those responsible for all the assassination attempts were found. George IV was saved, and the whole thing got wrapped up. The day after it all went down, George asked Chrome to hit the training field with him, to work on his combat skills. Chrome won again, but George isn't even bummed. He's practically glowing with happiness. The kid's in awe of Chrome's strength, glad he didn't meet him as an enemy. Chrome's kinda surprised by his upbeat mood. Chrome asks George why they're even sparring. The kid, a little embarrassed, admits he's jealous of Chrome's swordsmanship and power. He wanted to fight Chrome without holding back, to learn the skills he needs to protect the saint. Chrome's blown away by his honesty, and he's not even trying to hide it. The kid's ambition makes him seriously happy. The saint knows how hard George is trying, and she really needs him. So Chrome holds out his hand to George and asks him to follow him. We can't leave the girl alone for too long, and since she enjoys George's company so much, he needs to stick around her as much as possible. George and Chrome both want to protect the saint, and like loyal knights, they'll follow her, protecting her from any danger. The word's out. The saint now has new knight bodyguards. Peace is finally settling over the whole damn continent. But that news also reached Runebelt and a pissed-off Beatrice. She's calling Chrome a traitor, no question. She's vowing to tear down all of Asperia, Chrome, and the Saint. So much for peace lasting. Lyanna and Chrome are grabbing a bite at this little diner. Looks like it's been around for 50 years. But Lyanna swears it'll stand strong for another 100. She really wants to meet Chrome at this diner again in their next lives. Her words are burned into Chrome's memory forever. Now a grown man, he's happily eating lunch at the same diner, chowing down on the same treats Lyanna used to get him. It's crowded and noisy. Chrome blends right in. But the cook knows him and thanks him for coming back again. The cook knows who Chrome really is. He helped him enter the competitions without raising any flags. He's doing it as thanks to the disaster mages and witches who freed the people from that monster of an emperor. Chrome's face darkens at the thought. He wishes Lyanna, rest her soul, could hear the cook. She always worried so much about the people she couldn't save. Just when Chrome's getting swallowed by dark thoughts, the same cook shows up again, bringing him a free treat as a sign of respect. His son starts complaining, saying the treat's pretty expensive. But the cook yells at him, saying Chrome's too important to skimp on. Chrome looks over the treat he's been given. It wasn't always this expensive, or considered a luxury, but now this fruit, which has no taste or nutrients, is only served for special guests. The holy woman is in a rush, hurrying down the hall to a room where the goddess's attendants greet her and offer her a seat anywhere she likes. They wish the girl a good meal and praise her for her hard work in class and her progress in her studies. The holy woman sits down on a chair and cheerfully thanks everyone, promising to enjoy her meal and giving everyone a sweet smile. The attendants remark that the girl gets cuter every year, and her smile makes each of them feel healthier. But it's not just the holy woman who's getting better and better. George bursts into the room, out of breath, calling for the holy woman to wait for him. George IV is also starting to blossom. He's clearly growing up, and both his appearance and personality are gradually changing. He's chewing out the saint for wandering off alone, especially since she's already down to one bodyguard, and she's talking back. The acolytes are drooling over how hot the kid is. They're counting down the days till he comes of age. Georg's the best-looking dude in the temple, they say, but one of them ain't buying it. He thinks Chrome's the hottest guy here, and he's got some serious points to back it up. The guy's saying how he brought Chrome breakfast to his room recently, but Chrome wouldn't answer or open the door for ages. And when the door finally opened, Chrome was standing there in just a towel wrapped around his waist. It totally blew the acolyte's mind. It's been years since that happened, but he still can't get the image of half-naked Chrome out of his head. Meanwhile, the saint's freaking out because there's less food on the table. Georg says he doesn't see what the big deal is. She gets even more pissed when she notices the melon's gone. Georg doesn't think it's a tragedy, saying there's nothing good in that fruit anyway. The saint's furious and starts beating on Georg. She's pissed at how he's acting and orders him to get a melon. Georg gives in, begging her to stop. Melons have gotten crazy expensive lately. He just can't get one. Holy expensive fruit feels like a lame excuse. I mean, the temple ain't that broke. The acolytes can totally afford a freaking melon. The kid's starting to catch on. Something went down at the temple, and that's why they're strapped for cash. She asks George about it, but the kid's like, nah, nothing's up. The saint shouldn't sweat it. Hearing that, the saint's face changes. She shuts up and purses her lips. She's heard that song and dance 1,000,000 times, in all her lifetimes. Every single time, she dies before she gets to grow up. So the kid's entire life is just childhood, and not even a real childhood, the kind where you learn stuff. Adults always decide everything, every single time. Leanne thought the saint's life would be different this time, but it's just the same old crap. George is watching her face like a hawk, and he cracks. He starts spilling the beans about what went down at the temple. Thing is, it's not the temple's fault. There's a bigger problem. Chrome reaches into his inside jacket pocket. He pulls out a newspaper and hands it to the saint. Reading it should clue her in on what's really going on. The saint's face twists as she reads. Her eyes widen, staring at the paper with disgust and disbelief. Meanwhile, in Runebelt, Jack slams a stack of the same newspapers onto Beatrice's desk, furious. He wants to know where all these articles came from, articles that Beatrice definitely wrote. The girl glares at the mage, not hiding her authorship at all, but almost seeming proud of it. A young Beatrice stands before her family, all her relatives praising her, calling her the best kid in the world. Born into an aristocratic family, she was pampered and spoiled, talented in everything from childhood. Being the best was a given for her, but she lived like a frog in a well, and when she met someone stronger, she couldn't stand up to them. That fateful encounter shattered all her beliefs in her invincibility. The strong person even refused to fight her, which Beatrice took as an insult. Leanne's power, looming over Beatrice, was tens of times greater than that of her previous opponents. Beatrice sat helplessly on her knees before the girl, unable to utter a word from the rage devouring her from within. Looks like someone way stronger than her showed up. Beatrice couldn't let that slide, and Lyanna caught her eye. These articles are talking smack about the saint and her melons, saying she's using them to launder money. Beatrice denies everything. Jack doesn't buy it. He knows how hard Beatrice works to gather up all the melons across the continent, just to jack up the price. Beatrice calmly listens to his arguments, sipping red wine from a tall glass. Jack's trying to get a rise out of her. He gets his reaction when he mentions Chrome in his rant, the guy who sent a letter asking them to leave the saint alone. Beatrice crushes the glass in her hand. She flies off the handle, telling Jack to shut his mouth and never mention Chrome again. That traitor's name is like nails on a chalkboard to her. Jack likes the saint too, but at least he stayed in Runebelt, which is why Beatrice is going a little easier on him. She flashes a ring, reminding him who's in charge here. Wine mixed with blood is dripping down her hand. Beatrice runs Runebelt now, and Jack has to play by her rules. No complaints allowed. And if he does have complaints, Beatrice will talk to him, but only after he's dealt with that mountain of paperwork. This girl's breathing fire down Jack's neck, because he's dodging this job. He ain't used to using his brains, always relies on his pretty face. Beatrice is freaking out, chewing her nails to the quick. And Jack, filling in for Chrome, is keeping an eye on her. He figures he'll leave already pissed off Beatrice alone and get to work. He's got a mountain of paperwork to get through. He's got total faith in Chrome's skills, knows he can protect the saint, but he's worried about the changes in his queen's personality. All that stuff in the papers is a scam, but Beatrice's plan is working. Melons are crazy expensive. People are even stealing them from the temple. Even George's house is melon-free now, so the saint's gonna have to settle for other fruit until things calm down. She's not thrilled about it, obviously, but she can't do anything about it, so she starts chowing down on other, equally healthy fruits. Suddenly, something clicks in her head, and she throws her arms around George's neck with a big smile. She's asking why little Georgie knows so much about the melon news, about the temple's supplies, if he doesn't even care about the fruit. The penny drops when she feels George tense up under her hands, trying to push her away. He's grabbing a melon, so the saint won't be too bummed she's not around. And she knows it, so she's messing with George on purpose. The kid's right. George can't argue and tries to bail, but he can't shake the saint off either. Mid-attack, she spots Chrome coming up and asks him to help her stop George from running away. But instead, Chrome pulls her off the kid. She's pissed, saying she just wanted to have some fun with him. Chrome ignores her, and George bolts, putting as much distance as he can between them. The kid's face is burning red. He's super embarrassed. The saint's still determined to get to him, which freaks George out, so he runs for the door, pretending to be sick again. The saint's confused. She tells Chrome to let her go, but he doesn't budge, and just tells her they need to talk. He calls her by her real name, which makes Lyanna tense up, and she braces herself for a serious talk. Chrome and the saint are discussing the fake news articles that are spreading like wildfire among the people, and this is just the beginning of their problems. The accusations against the Holy Father and the saint are piling up. If this keeps going, donations to the church are going to dry up. Donations are the church's main income, and if people stop donating altogether, the whole place is going to go bankrupt. The saint realizes Beatrice wrote that article from the signature. She compliments her for that clever way to handle the enemy. Old Lyanna would have done the same thing. She was the one who taught Beatrice to take down enemies any way she could. But things are different now. She knows everyone in the temple, cares about them, and won't let them be humiliated like this. The saint feels better. She knows exactly how to deal with this problem and tells Chrome to gather everyone for a counterattack. The saint dreams of her death. She coughs up blood, dying from poison, and hears someone mocking her. It's her death from a past life, when she was an artist on track to become the genius of the century. That life was poor, but Lyanna was happy. She had her paintings and her best friend. She didn't need anything else. But her best friend was incredibly jealous and killed Lyanna to take her place. Lyanna couldn't understand her motives then, and was completely shocked by what her best friend did. But that girl was ruthless. She brutally murdered Lyanna because she wanted to be the art genius of the century, and Lyanna was in her way. The saint jolts awake, eyes full of terror, just as her memories cut off at the moment of her death. Chrome was right there next to the sleeping girl the whole time. He knew instantly she was dreaming about her past life again. Whenever she dreams about those past lives, she sobs in her sleep, then wakes up and cries alone so she doesn't bother anyone. Chrome brought Lyanna some warm milk, hoping it would calm her down faster so she could get some real sleep. She's got a huge day tomorrow, standing up to Beatrice, and thinking about it, she tenses up. The girl doesn't see anything weird about Beatrice's behavior. In this situation, she could totally think Chrome and Lyanna ditched her. Chrome still thinks she's wrong, but Lyanna actually praises her, saying she's a strategic thinker with an unusual approach to taking down enemies. Thinking about Beatrice, Lyanna draws a line between her behavior and the way her old best friend used to act. It's almost the same. Remembering all that gets her down, because that friend murdered her, and Beatrice might just do the same thing. She's never had a peaceful death in any of her lives. Someone's always killed her, and she's scared Beatrice will be the one this time. Crack of dawn, and a bunch of reporters from all over are hitting up the Asperia temple, yapping about the rumors that it's going bankrupt. The saint's got a seriously bad rep now, so these reporters are walking into the temple all twitchy, expecting to see some little devil, but their eyes practically pop out when the doors swing open, and the saint's radiant face blasts them with light. She looks like the living image of the goddess Asperia herself, sitting calmly in a chair in the middle of the hall, thanking them for coming all this way. She's practically hypnotizing them with her sweet talk, and these guys are fighting tooth and nail not to fall under her spell. But it's no use. Her light's getting to them. The saint's beauty and smooth talking are working like a charm. Though, let's be real, the divine power helps a ton. Everything's going exactly as planned. These dudes are mesmerized. The saint reached out to the papers to set the record straight. She's trying to flip these reporters so they'll write a glowing article about her. They start grilling her about those melon articles, and Bachman jumps in to answer, but she cuts him off. She wants to handle this herself. She plays the innocent card, says she's just a clueless kid with a lot to learn, trying to get the reporters on her side. As far back as she can remember, melons were always considered useless and tossed around like trash, but she's always loved them. But if loving melon is a crime in this world, she's ready to plead guilty. The reporters are stunned by her words. They wanted to know if the saint was really using melons to make money, but they miscalculated and got no answer from her. Then, Georg showed up out of nowhere. The reporters' attention immediately shifted to him. The boy reported back to the saint about his return from territorial patrol. The men started openly discussing his victory in the first and subsequent tournaments. In their opinion, the boy deserves his position. They suddenly fall silent and hear the saint officially thank the embarrassed Georg, who has knelt before her. The girl begins to praise Georg's kindness, and he, in turn, carefully starts praising the saint in front of the reporters, pledging his loyalty to her until death. The men can't even imagine that this scene is being staged by the saint and Georg specifically for them. It's pretty rough on the boy. The saint is enjoying this show and really hopes that upon their return, each of the reporters will write a retraction of their previous articles. She hoped the articles would restore her dignity in the eyes of society. But instead, she got another false article, claiming she was having an affair with Georg. Things just got a whole lot worse. Now it's going to be damn near impossible to change their minds. The church is going to lose its income, and the saint's plans are screwed. The saint's freaking out, ripping the new paper to shreds, and cursing Beatrice, who definitely had a hand in this. If the reporter's original stories had actually gone live, Beatrice's plan would have been dead in the water. But she bought up all the papers and shut it down. Those articles made the saint look amazing. The reporters were talking about her incredible charisma, her strength, and how genuine she seemed. That description of her presence and charisma reminded Jack of Lyanna, who always had those qualities. Beatrice asks if Jack's really talking about the queen. He confirms it, and she just loses it, ripping into him for comparing their queen to the enemy like that. Jack's getting dark. He knows who the saint really is, but he can't just tell her. He'd never break a promise he made to Lyanna. He asks if his words even bother Beatrice, hoping she'll say yes. But she gives him nothing. Beatrice clenches her fists, totally pissed. The similarities between Lyanna and the saint are getting to her, but she's already got an explanation, and she's sticking to it. In her mind, the evil saint twisted Chrome's arm and squeezed him for info about Lyanna just so she could copy her. With Lyanna gone, Beatrice has to be the best. Just thinking about it pisses her off, and another genius plan starts brewing in her head. Maria came to the saint's room to brush her hair before bed and noticed how heavily she was sighing. The saint's wondering if she's really the messenger, the goddess incarnate. Maybe it's all a mistake, and she's just a regular kid. Maria's shocked by what she's saying and double-checks, trying to make sure she heard right. The saint remembers those articles blasting her and calling her a liar. The temple's suffering because of those articles. They're saying she's not a real saint, and donations are drying up. If she hadn't been reborn into this body, none of this would be happening. Maria, after hearing the saint's worries, starts chuckling quietly, which really ticks the girl off. Maria reminds the saint about staying up all night reading the newspaper, trying to learn how to answer those reporters' low blows. Maria's not the only one who knows about the saint's efforts. All the temple servants do. Maria tells her not to worry, because no matter what the rumors are, the temple servants value her a lot and will always have her back. The girl's totally flustered by that kind of talk, blushing and giving a quiet thanks to the completely chill woman. while Maria just keeps doing her thing. In any of her past lives, Lyanna never got parental love. Nobody ever cared for her, and only Maria and the teacher were able to give her that. Back in her previous life, Lyanna worked so hard to learn magic and become as strong as the teacher that she actually got sick. She really wanted his approval and to learn forbidden magic. Lyanna kept asking how she could gather as much magical power as the teacher. Each time, the man stubbornly repeated that there were only 2 ways to gain power, something the girl remembered perfectly well. The first was to seek out knowledge on her own and concentrate it in her body, but the teacher never told her about the second. And this time, he still won't say. The girl has to discover that method for herself someday. The second way is probably the transfer of one person's magical powers to another upon their death. Lyanna remembers taking the dead teacher's powers. Then she draws a parallel between that situation and Beatrice, who wants to kill her, or even did kill her in a past life. That nightmare thought jolts the saint awake in a cold sweat, her eyes snapping open wide with terror. But it wasn't just the nightmare that jolted her awake. Omar's yelling did the trick. He tells the saint about some rich lady who showed up this morning, ready to drop a ton of cash. That snapped her right out of it. The saint's not buying the noblewoman's act, but Bahman says her donation's supposed to support the saint's love, as featured in that recent article. The rich lady wants some FaceTime with the saint. Bahman and Omar are begging her to smile, make a good impression, and rake in the dough. The saint, who doesn't even believe in love, is getting a donation in love's name, especially after all those nasty articles. She's finding the irony hilarious. She starts thinking about the dreams she's been having lately, all this stress, and decides to tackle the money problem so she can at least stop worrying about that. The saint decides to meet with the aristocrat. Her family was famous even before the empire collapsed. Out of nowhere, she hears this voice, one she knows way too well, and it almost scares her soul right out of her. Everything starts to blur as the voice calls her by a new name and thanks her for this meeting. Standing before her is Beatrice of the Graham family. She's a pro at playing innocent, and you can't see her true colors through that fancy dress. Beatrice glares at the saint, pure rage flashing in her eyes, and thanks her for the audience. The saint in front of her forces a nervous smile, frozen in place. The whole thing both hilarious and terrifying. The dreams that have been bothering her for so long were actually prophetic visions. The Graham family died out during the fall of the empire and the start of the war. Omar's stunned that a survivor from that line has appeared. The saint's not surprised at all. She knows about Beatrice's immortality and how she managed to survive. Like Chrome, who showed up in the holy capital of Asperia, Beatrice has completely masked her magic, hoping to get rid of the saint unnoticed. But she won't get away with endangering the girl. Paladins guard the temple around the clock, and they'll spot trouble fast. The saint's face darkens at the thought. Beatrice has to know how heavily guarded the temple is. In that case, the purpose of her visit remains a total mystery to the saint. Beatrice notices the gloom on the girl's thoughtful face. She asks if the saint is angry with her, snapping the girl out of her deep thoughts. Beatrice, acting all bummed out, pretends to get why the saintess is pissed about her surprise visit, and acts like she's gonna bail with the offerings. The saintess can't let that happen. The temple's in no shape to turn down any kind of cash right now. She'd love to kick Beatrice to the curb, but she grits her teeth and swallows her pride for the sake of the money. The saintess is dying to know why Beatrice is pulling this crap, so she fakes a smile and acts all sweet. She's got to invite Beatrice into the temple, wish her a good time, all with a stone-cold poker face. After that, in the saintess's eyes, Beatrice turns into this total monster, grinning like she just won the lottery. The saintess from the holy capital of Asperia, who's supposed to be all holy and noble-looking, with charisma oozing out of her, but she's just a cheap knockoff of Lyanna, and Beatrice is gonna slowly crush her soul before she finishes her off. First, she wants to shatter her pride and leak stories about how the girl bowed down to money. That'll wreck her reputation. As a first meeting gift, Beatrice wants to give the saintess a little something as a friendly gesture. This gift's a joke. The chest looks all big and fancy, but inside, it's just a handful of coins. Beatrice wants to humiliate the saint, who's expecting a chest overflowing with cash, to see her face when she sees it half empty. The servants notice how heavy it is when they pick it up, but they don't have time to react before the lock breaks and everything spills onto the floor. The saint's eyes go wide as a mountain of different treasures crashes onto the floor right at her feet. Beatrice is freaking out. She didn't expect this much loot. The chest was supposed to bum out the saint, not make her day. There are enough gems to fill the whole treasury with cash, and on top of that, there are still tons of other chests packed with gold. The saint thanks Beatrice for the generous gift and points out that it must have been prepared by someone who knows her really well. Beatrice starts making excuses, blaming it on some made-up little brother who's supposedly obsessed with the saint. She says the saint will probably refuse such a lavish gift, but the girl cleverly replies and intends to keep all the presents for herself. The girl's furious. She remembers exactly how those jewels ended up in the chest. Jack Casanova put them there the night before they left. He specifically asked Beatrice to deliver the saint's gift himself. He even wanted to head to Asperia, but Beatrice wouldn't let him. Jack's the only one who can fill the hole in Runebelt, while Beatrice and Chroma are gone. Using his spirit powers and transformation ability, she's about to refuse his request to hand over the gifts too, but Jack says it's an official request, coming from one of the disaster mages. He insists she delivers his gift. Beatrice just looks down at him, since he's distracting her from getting ready. Beatrice agreed, figuring Jack couldn't possibly have anything worthwhile planned. She decides to ask him why he's suddenly focused on the saint. Jack's always loved Lyanna, and even now, his feelings for the queen haven't changed. But Lyanna's never loved him back. Jack doesn't think that's a big deal. It's enough for him that he gets to show her how he feels. Lyanna herself will never be able to love him. Jack realized that way back when they first met. She started beating the crap out of him, using fire magic. The forest was about to go up in flames because she couldn't control it. Jack begged her to stop. Normal people don't just attack everyone they run into. After he spoke, Lyanna seemed to snap out of it. She looked at Jack with clear eyes and asked him who he was. All through the fight, she'd seen him as the Emperor, and totally freaked out when she found a regular dude at her feet. Remembering that, Jack gives a goofy smile and starts justifying his new crush. You can't tell your heart what to do, right? So, this little gift from a devoted fan, Saint Jack, really screwed Beatrice over and almost wrecked her plans. But Lyanna always taught Beatrice never to give up, and to use any means necessary to beat the enemy, proving it with a chess game. If you're running out of ways to fight, Lyanna advises, hit the enemy where it hurts, get under their skin. Once those ego blows pile up, the opponent will slowly start losing faith in himself, and then he'll come crawling to Beatrice. Beatrice listens intently and asks what to do if even that doesn't lead to victory. She starts biting her nails again from nerves, because even in chess, which she's only learned in the last day, her opponent might be better. Lyanna pulls Beatrice's hand away from her face, telling her not to overthink it, but the girl keeps worrying about possible losses. Lyanna swore that even if a chess prodigy crossed Beatrice's path, they wouldn't stand a chance, because nobody outsmarts Lyanna at this game. And since she was the one who taught Beatrice how to play, nobody on Earth should be able to beat her, so she's totally floored when she loses during the Saint's visit. A little kid wiped the floor with her. The Saint sits there all smug in the chair, right in front of a stunned Beatrice, having suggested the game and not regretting it one bit. At first, Beatrice jumped at the chance to play, thinking it'd be a great opportunity to show off her skills. But the Saint's better at absolutely everything, from chess and drawing to singing. Instead of crushing the Saint's pride, Beatrice has actually helped her gain even more respect from the believers. And chess was always Lyanna's thing. She was the best at it. But now the Saint's like, mocking Beatrice, mirroring her dead queen in every way. Beatrice sees this pointless imitation of her mentor, Lyanna, as a personal insult. At this rate, Beatrice is going to end up failing and going back to Runebelt empty-handed. So she decides to try a different approach. She stopped a couple of servants in the hallway and asked for a minute of their time, saying she had some special candy to share. A few hours later, the Saintess started getting ready for bed. Collapsing onto her bed in her room, totally exhausted, the girl sighed heavily then, which confused Chrome, who was nearby. She'd completely crushed Beatrice, but she still wasn't happy. Her victories don't mean jack, because they can't stop the fake articles, or melon prices, or anything else. They're pointless. The girl asked Chrome why he hadn't told Beatrice the truth about who she really was all this time. The man decided to finish getting ready for bed first, since it was already late, and that kind of talk could take forever. It's been ages since he moved into the temple, and he's had tons of chances to tell Beatrice everything. Nothing stopped him from sending all the info in a letter. If Chrome had sent a message, the temple wouldn't be in this mess. But Chrome did try to send Beatrice a letter, but she didn't take it seriously, thinking the story in it was ridiculous. Chrome never got a response to his letter, so now they're stuck in a situation where all lines of communication are cut off. Even Lyanna herself wouldn't have the guts to tell Beatrice the truth after this. But she can't just stand by and watch the temple crumble. Out of nowhere, Chrome comes up with a plan to protect the temple from Beatrice, and the Saint is stoked and wants to hear his ideas. Chrome suggests she go back to the world as Lyanna and personally talk Beatrice out of it. If the Saint returns to her body in Runebelt, she can get her original powers back too. That way, she wouldn't have to play the Saint anymore, and the temple would be safe. Lyanna's finding this offer pretty tempting, She wants to go back to Runebelt, but she can't just ditch the temple like that. Chrome grabs her hand and she flinches. He doesn't want to lose her because of the temple. The temple needs her just as much as the people of Runebelt do. That goes for Chrome too. He really misses Lyanna. He squeezes her hand a little tighter, caught up in the moment. Her family's in Runebelt, among the disaster mages. Not here, not in the temple, not in Holy Asperia. Chrome begs her not to forget that. Memories of the good old days with Lyanna flash through his mind. She's looking at him like she's flashed back to her past life for a second, reliving those good old days too. She's about to say something to Chrome, but a loud knock on the door cuts her off. Totally unexpected by both her and Chrome. They both head to the door and ask who's there, cause it's late and nobody usually visits the Saintess at this hour. Beatrice's loud voice comes from behind the door. The Saintess recognizes it instantly. She apologizes for the late visit and asks the girl to open up. Beatrice is standing there with a tray and tea in her hands, asking the Saintess for a bit of her time. With a nasty smirk on her face, she found some amazing tea leaves and brewed them especially for the Saintess, since she's heading home tomorrow. That's why she's barging in on the Saintess so late. She really wanted to spend some time with her one last time. No way food brought this late is completely innocent. The Saintess catches a faint scent coming from the tea. Beatrice slipped a potion that Lyanna told her about into it, something that forces you to tell only the truth. The moment a lie slips from the lips of someone who's drunk that potion, they'll suddenly feel pain, weak but unpleasant enough. So Beatrice is going to use this to figure out why the hell this girl's pretending to be Lyanna, and get rid of her if necessary. But she's still got this one doubt nagging at her, remembering those days with Lyanna, right before she died. Back then, Beatrice made her some tea, just regular tea, and brought it to Lyanna's art studio. Lyanna turned it down, tried to lie and say she didn't like tea, but Beatrice saw her hands shaking like crazy. Now, she's really hoping the saint won't copy the queen, even in something small like this, and will just drink the damn potion. But the sight of the tea is sending Lyanna into a full-blown panic. She's trying to think straight, but fears got her in a chokehold. The person who poisoned her in a past life and Beatrice are totally different people, and the stuff in the tea isn't even a deadly poison. But remembering her friend and that wide grin during that brutal murder, Lyanna starts comparing her to Beatrice and second-guessing everything. She doesn't know what'll happen if Beatrice actually decides to offer, and the queen's really putting the pressure on the saint. Lyanna can't take it anymore. When Beatrice starts rushing her, she snaps and gets absolutely furious. Losing it, Lyanna swept the teacup and saucer off the table. They shattered and tea went everywhere. Beatrice went ballistic, not expecting such a spot-on queen impression. She froze, speechless with rage. Lyanna froze too, trying to grasp what she'd done. Sweat started trickling down her strained face. The girl started apologizing to Beatrice, but it was too late. Beatrice stood up and looked down at the saint. Beatrice unloaded on the saint, calling her a disgusting fake, a worthless imitation. Her fury blazed like green fire. Beatrice reared back, raised her hand to the saint, ready to strike with magic. The saint stumbled back, but suddenly, Chrome appeared in front of the girl, heroically shielding her with his own power. Chrome struggled to hold back Beatrice's onslaught. She had way too much mana built up. There's no way she got this strong in just a few years. Chrome realized Beatrice's mana was contained in the necklace she kept touching. She didn't come here unprepared. Chrome's at a disadvantage here, he knows it, and yells at the saint to get out of the way. Magic energy slams into the guy. Lyanna gets thrown aside, and Chrome ends up clear across the room. Beatrice uses her power to lift him into the air, choking him by the neck, cutting off his air supply completely. Her first instinct is to just get rid of him. She's already tasting victory. But then something distracts her. She figures she should deal with the reason she's even here in the first place. The saint tries not to show her stress. If Beatrice keeps making a scene, a squad of paladins will rush in. That's what was calming the saint down. But then Beatrice drops the naive bomb. She drugged the paladins. They all ate sleeping pills. That girl gave them something. The saint totally didn't see that coming. Beatrice is strong, but against that many enemies, she's practically helpless. So she went with a sneaky plan and handed out spiked candy. Like idiots, everyone in the temple happily ate her candy, just proving to Beatrice how dumb and gullible they were. Now she can easily take out the saint without any witnesses. She charges in, ready to strike. But her power doesn't even reach the saint. It's blocked by a way more powerful holy force, and Beatrice is just stunned. Turns out this kid is actually a saint, and Beatrice is having a seriously hard time believing it. The saint's giving her the death stare. Magic and holy power are opposites. But to be clear, holy power is the stronger of the two. Lyanna drilled that into Beatrice. They were fighting against Saint Asperia, where tons of people had holy power. Priests are tough to beat unless you hit them with some serious magic. That's why Lyanna told Beatrice to run if she ran into one. She was worried sick about her and swore to beat down anyone who came after Beatrice. The girl never forgot that. Right now, even the smallest hit against the saint's shield was causing her unbelievable pain. The kid's energy was way stronger than hers. Beatrice figured that out after the first few blows. This girl was so powerful that with all her magic, Beatrice couldn't even scratch her. Rage started to build. Sweat dripped down her face. The saint was legit, no doubt about it. There was no way she was a fake. Even just looking at the kid, you could see this bright glow around her. But Beatrice couldn't take this kid's nerve. The saint shouldn't be copying the enemy queen's attitude and dissing her like that. Beatrice took another shot at the kid, but the saint didn't even flinch from that powerful blow. She was itching to unleash her full holy power in one go, to knock Beatrice flat on her back. But Chrome could get caught in the blast, so all the saint can do right now is defend. Still, Beatrice's relentless assault could end up hurting the girl. The saint's torn. She can't believe Beatrice wants to get rid of her this badly. Beatrice probably didn't want to hurt the saint. Her visit to the capital was likely just to provoke her. If she'd wanted to kill the girl from the start, she'd have slipped poison into her tea instead of that truth serum. But now Beatrice can't think straight and just went on the attack. Who knows what set her off? Her pendant's shattered, her hands are shaking from throwing punches, pains shooting through her, and Beatrice can barely stand. Chrome tried to get through to her, begged her to stop fighting before she got hurt, but Beatrice just screamed him down and called him a traitor. She couldn't let the saint live because, in her mind, the saint had deeply insulted Lyanna and didn't deserve to breathe. This little twerp, not even worthy to kiss the queen's pinky, dares to copy her. And on top of that, she's Lyanna's, the saint's enemy. Beatrice is going to get rid of her and level the holy capital, doing what Lyanna couldn't. Her arms are getting weak. She can't attack anymore and just mumbles to herself about wanting Lyanna's approval. The girl's head drops. She can't even hold it up anymore. She's completely powerless now, but the saint doesn't try to stop her or attack. She just looks at Beatrice in surprise, waiting to hear what she'll say next. Beatrice figures she's finally gonna die, and she couldn't kill the saint or see Lyanna again. Unexpectedly, the saint starts apologizing for the pain she caused, kneels down, and takes Beatrice's hands in her own. Beatrice tells her to repeat that, but the saint just keeps apologizing. She's sorry she couldn't get anything across to her, and that she had to suffer so much. All Beatrice wanted was to be acknowledged. That's why she waited so long for Lyanna, why she went to Asperia to kill the saint. Little did she know Lyanna had been reborn in that body, and it only started clicking after the saint's words sounded so damn familiar. While cleaning up the spilled tea, Lyanna and Beatrice got to talking about one of Lyanna's past lives, where she was poisoned with tea. That's why Lyanna doesn't accept tea from just anyone, why she knocked over Beatrice's tray, and why she's totally mortified right now. She starts apologizing to Beatrice, who just covers her hand with her own, cutting her off like, Lyanna's got nothing to apologize for. Beatrice thinks her hesitation is totally understandable. She gets it and accepts Lyanna's actions. Lyanna's the one who helped Beatrice, broken and desperate, get back on her feet, so there's no way she could be mad at her. She promises not to hate Lyanna, even if she starts doubting Beatrice herself. And she begs Lyanna not to blame herself for anything. Lyanna's the one who showed Beatrice how special she was, instead of just obsessing over being the best. Lyanna takes off Beatrice's gloves and is bummed that she still hasn't broken her habit of biting her nails when she's stressed. And it's in that moment that Beatrice recognizes the saint as her queen, the girl who helped her become herself. That morning, Beatrice promises to fix the melon prices and correct all the articles. She basically controls all the publishing houses now. Lyanna points out Beatrice's puffy eyes, complaining she forgot to use a cold compress after crying all night. Lyanna can't keep quiet about it. She and Beatrice talk openly, even in front of the priests, because they never listen anyway. Only now does Beatrice realize how Jack was hinting that Lyanna was reborn as the saint, but she missed his clues. So when she got to Asperia, she expected a cheap imitation of Lyanna, not the real deal. The saint wants Beatrice to flick Jack's forehead for not telling her straight up about the queen's rebirth, but she refuses. Jack was scared to reveal her because the assassin's still out there. Hearing this, the saint remembers suspecting Beatrice and starts to apologize, but Beatrice cuts her off again. It's not the saint's fault she was so paranoid. Outside forces made her act that way, so Beatrice refuses to accept apologies for last night or for the past suspicions. The saint looks at her with gratitude and love, accepting her friend's words and vowing never to act like that again. Last night, the saint revealed her true self to Beatrice, finally untangling all the misunderstandings. She was begging Beatrice not to hate her, but then the girl just pulled her close and started hugging her tight. Beatrice wouldn't stop sobbing, just kept repeating Lyanna's name while holding the girl even closer. The old Lyanna would have told her to cut the waterworks, but now she just stood there comforting her, And then she started crying too. After they both had a good cry, Chrome and Beatrice fixed up the wrecked room, arguing the whole time. Meanwhile, the saint was running all over the temple, wiping everyone's memories of the evening, so they wouldn't suspect anything in the morning. They were working their butts off all night, but the saint thought the time spent with her friends was actually a blast. The saint told Beatrice her plans, to wait until she was of age to get the forbidden magic. Beatrice wasn't too keen on that idea. Still, she had no choice but to accept Lyanna's decision and head home, wishing the queen would hurry up and get what she wanted. Until she returns, Beatrice swears to protect the temple and not leave it without a good reason. Definitely a dig at Chrome's behavior. The girls are laughing at the guy's irresponsibility, and they crack up even harder when Beatrice brings up helpless Jack. Beatrice gets Lyanna's approval, and she takes control. Lyanna's words just melt away all her anger. She thanks the saintess for the time they spent together, saying it felt like a blessing. Beatrice wishes the girl all the best, and Lyanna and Chrome listen to her parting words with interest. Beatrice smiles brightly, wishes the saintess good health as she says goodbye, and, glowing with happiness, leaves the temple. Shortly after Beatrice left, the fake news issue was settled, like it never even happened, and peace and quiet returned to the holy capital, and the saintess started studying history, taught by Bachman himself, who enthusiastically told her about the empire's division into 4 kingdoms. The girl thought the lessons were the most boring things ever. She kept getting distracted and couldn't focus at all. She's practically an encyclopedia herself, and they're making her repeat stuff she already knows for hours every day. At least little George is paying attention to all these boring stories, since he knows next to nothing about history. Lyanna's always watching him, amazed at how focused he is. He really reminds her of George II. Guess you can't escape your genes. After the lesson, she gets confirmation that George is actually into all this stuff. She's getting bored with the conversation and decides to go find Chrome, but she hasn't seen Chrome all day. It's like he vanished. George says Chrome took a sudden vacation, which really throws the saintess off. If Chrome needed to go anywhere, he always told her about it. But this time, he didn't even mention leaving. It must be super urgent. The saintess tries to remember where he could have gone so fast. He headed to Runebelt, where a bunch of his old buddies were already waiting for him. Every one of them looked dead serious. Shadows fell across their faces. Some of the calamity mages weren't there in person, but they were online. Chrome officially thanked everyone for coming and called the meeting and reports to order. The Runebelt Magic Council is a wizard get-together that only Lyanna and the 6 calamities are allowed to attend. But after Lyanna's death, the purpose of the meeting changed. Now, even calamities who left the kingdom ages ago are meeting in Runebelt. When the disaster committee's listening to reports, Jack's always first, bragging about his otherworldly good looks that only get better with age. Then Beatrice tells us how she learned to sign documents with both hands, followed by some random mage patting himself on the back for his business ventures. It's all just a load of crap, and it's driving Chrome nuts. He can't take it anymore and starts yelling at the mages. These meetings after Lyanna's death are supposed to be about finding the scumbag who hurt her, but instead, these guys are just shooting the breeze. Chrome is seriously pissed. He starts lecturing them, but Jack cuts him off, saying it's all pointless. They've been looking for the killer for over 60 years, and they still haven't even gotten a lead. The result of these meetings is always the same, and everyone's fed up with it. The cause of Lyanna's death is unknown. By the time the mages found her, she was already gone. That day, all the mages realized just how useless they were. They couldn't even protect their own queen. There were no signs of anyone breaking in. Someone either got inside using magic way more powerful than any of theirs, but there isn't a single mage in the world stronger than Lyanna. And if you put all the pieces together, you get a pretty interesting conclusion, which Jack points out. There's a traitor among the disaster mages, one who killed the queen 60 years ago and still hasn't been found. After all that talk, the mages are back to square one. They've got nothing, no facts, not even a decent theory. Chrome used to think all the mages were united in fulfilling Lyanna's wish, but it turns out someone betrayed her, and the mages too. The meeting ended, and Chrome went back to his office, where he found a nasty surprise. His desk was a total wreck. He was seriously pissed. Beatrice felt ashamed of Jack for making such a mess, and Jack started making lame excuses. Beatrice explains that things piled up, and only Chrome knows how to handle them. They can't rely on Jack for anything. Jack tries to brag about a pretty paper swan he made and left on the desk, which just pisses Beatrice off even more. Chrome tries to calm his friends down and calmly sits down with the documents, now covered in doodles and totally unreadable. Jack and Beatrice ask him why he's acting so weird, and decide it's because of the meeting earlier today. They start giggling at Chrome, trying to make him laugh, but he's got a stone face, lost in some serious thought only he knows about. Beatrice points out how this meeting's different from the last ones. This time, all three of them know about Lyanna's new reincarnation. That's gotta be why Chrome's so on edge. Jack's cracking up even harder because Chrome's head's totally consumed by Lyanna. That's what's so funny to him. Chrome doesn't say anything to his buddies, just snaps his fingers and magic blasts them right out of the office, then slams the door. He's seriously worried, you know? He doesn't want to go through losing Lyanna again. So, Chrome needs to get her back to Runebelt ASAP. But remembering how she reacted to that idea, Chrome starts to second-guess himself. She said she didn't want to leave Asperia because she's surrounded by love and care there. And plus, that's where forbidden magic is. But the Calamity mages gotta find Lyanna's killer before she grows up, and before the killer finds her again. Chrome puts those thoughts on the back burner. First, he's gotta deal with this mountain of paperwork. If George II was in Runebelt, he'd plow through this stuff in no time. He was a natural at this kind of thing. But he's never shown up to a meeting, and he's been off the Calamity mage's radar for ages. His seat's been empty for way too long. Nobody's seen the guy since Lyanna died. He was way too messed up when he found out she was gone. Chrome doesn't even know if he's still alive. It bothers him, but he's got more important stuff to deal with, so he goes back to his paperwork. Meanwhile, the Saint's in history class when she gets told about an upcoming pilgrimage to the Holy Land, which totally catches her off guard. With a huge grin, Bachman announces that the Saint's going to be heading to a small town called Esplanade, with a sacred spring. He's talked about it a ton in class. It really gets him going. But the Saint just isn't feeling his enthusiasm. She's not listening to him at all, and doesn't remember anything about the town. Luckily, some random dude shows up to save her from Bachman. He's a paladin from Esplanade, name's Joseph, and he's stoked to finally meet the Saint in person. He's been assigned to protect her during her pilgrimage to the Holy Land this year, assuring her he's got her back. He tells her other saints have walked the earth before, including the very first one. Galatea, the OG saint, first settled in Esplanade, and that's where she finished her journey after a long life. That's exactly why the current saint needs to visit Esplanade. She has to see the lands where the first saint lived. The saint doesn't see the point in using such a grandiose word like pilgrimage to describe a trip to the next town over. But the road to Esplanade, according to Joseph, will take about 15 days, and at the saint's walking pace, it could take a full 30. Walking that path, looking back on your life, that's what it means to go on a pilgrimage. But the saint absolutely hates that idea. She wants to ride in a carriage. Joseph asks the saint not to worry about the hardships along the way, since George will accompany her. But the saint objects again, since George is just as young as she is. The girl doesn't understand why she has to go through such hardships. She doesn't like the idea of the journey at all, partly because when the saint started saving the world, Lyanna was dying again and again in a continuous cycle of reincarnation. There were even cases where Lyanna died before she could even let out her first cry. It's a real miracle she didn't go crazy after all that. The girl resents the gods for giving her such a life, and doesn't understand their desire to lead Lyanna in the footsteps of the goddess's incarnation in this rebirth. Joseph tries to get the saint interested in the trip. He knows something about the forbidden magic that the saint is so fascinated by. Lyanna's definitely intrigued by the fact that the Esplanade keeps records of forbidden magic. So the girl starts grilling Yusuf and finds out the city's got archives on everything that went down in the Empire. And after the war, in the kingdoms too. The Esplanade has records about Galatea's life, the birth of Saint Asperia, and of course, the history of forbidden magic. The saint decides to double-check with Bachman, and when he confirms it, she tears into the guy. Bachman could have just told her about the records, or even just shown her the forbidden magic, but he just keeps saying she's too young. There's no getting through to this stubborn dude, and searching for the magic in the capital is pointless. She's already scoured every inch. There's nothing left to do but grab onto this one thread leading to the forbidden magic. So the saint agrees to the pilgrimage. She's so hyped about finding info on forbidden magic that she instantly bolts to pack her bags and orders everyone else to start prepping immediately. Georg chased after the girl, who was already running ahead, but he had to stop short when Yusuf called him by his old name, Luke. But that's not the boy's name anymore. He inherited the family's title name, Georg. Yusuf realizes his mistake and apologizes to Georg. It's been ages since they last met, so Joseph suggests they talk. He's the kid's uncle after all. Georg's gotten huge since Uncle Joseph last saw him. Joseph heard his nephews even got the saint's backing. Georg's playing it humble, saying people are hyping him up too much. But Yosef's not buying it, and keeps piling on the praise with a sly grin. Joseph decides to cut to the chase. He thinks this pilgrimage is Georg's perfect shot to win the saint's heart, especially with Chrome out of the picture. Back in the day, the Georg family had crazy influence, but Georg II screwed it all up. Reputation, honor, the whole shebang, gone. But now, with the saint's birth, the Georgs have a chance to bring back the good old days. Joseph's pushing Georg Jr. to marry the saint someday. It's the only way to wash away the family's shameful past. Georg wants to argue. He's not feeling the idea. But Joseph shoots him a killer look, and the kid clams up, can't say a word. His uncle's belittling him, telling him not to let the saint end up with Chrome or some other loser. He's really getting in his head. Joseph tells Georg to man up and think about himself and his family first. He reminds him that he's the family's only hope now, so don't screw it up. Georg's lips are pressed tight. He knows damn well how long their family has suffered for Georg II's disgrace and what Uncle Joseph wants. But he doesn't want to stoop to that kind of problem solving, because it's straight up manipulating the saint's feelings. The Georg family? They're a family of paladins, been loyal to the temple for centuries. Saint Galatea's husband even came from this family, a holy knight family with a killer rep. Only the best, the bravest, are worthy to carry the Georg name. The saint's walking around the temple, trying to find young Georg, but he's just not answering her calls. Georg and Joseph spot the girl. The uncle starts pushing Georg harder, telling him to get over to her, now. He puts his hand on the kid's shoulder, calls him the family's last hope. That kind of manipulation just makes Georg slump. Georg heads towards the saint. After the family's honor got trashed, the Georg name became shackles, a burden the kid's stuck carrying. Bachman's telling the saint she's making the pilgrimage on foot, but she can clearly see a carriage right in front of her. They lied to the girl about a 30-day walk. Furious, she jumps on the Holy Father and starts wailing on him again. Maria shows up and lays the situation out for the girl. She and Bachman were practically begging for a break, because the saint's way too young for these kinds of trips. The saint thanks Maria, then remembers Esplanade's George's hometown. And when he walks up, she asks him why he never told her. The kid gives a lame excuse, tells the saint they're leaving soon, and walks off, totally bumming her out. The girl starts getting suspicious. George's whole vibe is off, like he's pulling away. Something's definitely up that she doesn't know about. The saint tells Maria she's worried about George, but Maria thinks he's just stressed, because it's been so long since he's been home. The saint's like, screw that, because she's never been to Esplanade before, and she's not freaking out. Maria gets where she's coming from. Turns out, this is Maria's first time in Esplanade too, which shocks the saint. And Maria's super embarrassed, because she's a priest, and should have been to the Holy Land at least once. Maria was always just a regular kid, and while other priests were getting moved to bigger churches, she stayed put in her little one. But Maria was happy. She had family and awesome friends, and she never even dreamed about going to the Holy Land. Then, by some crazy chance, she got transferred to Holy Asperia, where, after all this time, she finally met the saint. The girl listened, totally mesmerized by the woman's story, blown away by the crazy twists and turns in Maria's life that practically turned it upside down. The saint realizes that Maria, who's been taking care of her, has never left the holy capital, meaning she's never even stepped outside the temple walls. Thinking about this, the girl suggests Maria take a vacation after they get back from their trip, which totally surprises Maria. The saint doesn't want Maria struggling because of her. Making a woman work nonstop without any time off is just messed up. Maria starts laughing at what the girl says, which pisses off the saint, because she can't help but worry about the health of someone she cares about. But Maria's laughing because, among the temple staff, the saint is the second person to ever say something like that to her. In a place as gloomy and suffocating as the temple, there's another person who's saying the right things, and the saint asks with interest who it is. Maria replies shyly that her first love was the first person to worry about her getting a break, and the saint's jaw drops in shock, ready for a juicy story. The saint squeals with excitement, scaring George who's walking outside, and begs Maria to tell her everything about this love, making her even more flustered. Contrary to the saint's expectations, it turns out this person isn't Maria's friend she mentioned earlier, but some knight she remembers with a smile. Maria was 10 years old when these legendary knights first showed up at her little temple. She was super impressed, and one of them stuck with her forever. That's when they first met. To her, he was like a prince out of a fairy tale. His skills, his physique, everything about him. When Maria saw him, she was just blown away. She couldn't take her eyes off him. Some weird feelings started bubbling up inside her, but by the time Maria realized it was love, he was already gone. She never told him, but she held on to those feelings all this time. The holy woman's never seen a woman so flustered. The knight she's obsessed with is probably an old geezer by now, and she still loves him. The girl decides to help Maria reunite with this guy. She can't help but ask, who is he? Maria thanks the girl for being so kind, but reuniting isn't going to happen. He left the temple a long time ago, and she has no idea where he is now. Just then, George IV spots something on the road and yells out for all the goddess's servants to be on their guard. The carriage slams to a halt. The girls hear George scream and freak out. They're seriously worried about the boy and the other servants. The holy woman is terrified, wondering what could be happening outside. She really doesn't want to lose her 101st life. Turns out, she was worried for nothing. Now the saintess is crammed in a tiny carriage with George, who can't step outside. The reason? Some random dude who stopped the carriage earlier. He's the one who caused all this mess. The second they hauled him into the carriage, Maria totally forgot about the saintess and rushed to help the guy, taking care of him. They found him on a mountain trail, headed to Esplanade. He was filthy and skinny, no one to help him, so the priests decided to step in. George had to stay inside the carriage, because, as her bodyguard, he can't leave the saintess alone with a stranger. They decided to take the guy to the city. The saintess can't wrap her head around Maria helping such a weirdo. Just then, the guy wakes up and asks who saved him. Maria says she's from the temple, and the guy calls her and people like her busybodies. He clearly hates being around priests. His attitude pisses off the saintess. She tells him to watch his mouth, and at least not be rude if he can't be grateful. He makes her so mad, she decides to heal him with her holy power, to get him back on his feet faster and realize what he's doing. But the guy smacks her hand away hard, freaking out George and Maria. The kid's ready to jump in and defend the saintess, but the guy just freezes up, telling her not to touch him. His slap left her hand bright red. The saint is speechless from shock, hating how this stranger's acting. He's not even listening, just turning his back to the wall. Then he calls her a fake saint. That sets her off. She starts yelling, and Maria barely stops her from attacking the guy. The saint is pissed at Maria for holding her back. Her patience is wearing thin, and this dude is about to cross the line. Maria's only argument is that the stranger's sick. That's why he's acting like this, and he just needs the priest's help. The saint's got no comeback. The saint bolts out of the carriage the first chance she gets, slamming the door so hard she doesn't even notice hitting Joseph. She leaves Maria alone with the guy, planning to cut through the forest to Esplanade and get there first. Man, what a day for the saint. Maria's having a rough time with the stranger, and she can't even help since he's ignoring her. But what really gets under her skin is that Maria took the stranger's side instead of hers during their argument. Honestly, it's no surprise Maria's siding with the patient. She loves taking care of people. She's just a good soul. Suddenly, the Holy One's called out to. The girl thinks Maria's had a change of heart and finally remembered the Holy One exists. Eyes still closed, she turns around, thanking Maria for her attention and all the effort she's put into taking care of her. But turns out, it wasn't Maria running after her. It was Georg, who the woman sent to protect the Holy One, while she stayed with the stranger. Maria hasn't seen the Holy One act this spoiled in ages. She really wants to help the guy. She can't just run after the girl and leave him alone. The woman gets into the carriage and asks the man to stand so she can bandage and treat his wounds. He's gotta be in serious pain. The stranger's got a bunch of broken ribs, but he toughs out the bandaging. No one can really heal him right now, since holy power is dangerous to him. Maria figured this out because she sensed magical energy in the stranger. She spent her whole life in the temple and learned to tell mages from regular folks. The man didn't react to that, just asked what Maria wanted for helping him. The woman wanted him to prove his gratitude with actions. The stranger doesn't want to pay for help with work. He tries to scare Maria with his status, but right now, to her, he's just a patient. Maria gets that the man hates the temple with all his heart. He's super stubborn, but she's still determined to help him anyway. Part of why she's so determined is because this guy's a dead ringer for the knight who saved her way back when. This dude ain't buying what she's selling, so she figures she'll tell him a story from when she was a kid. It's a story about a regular kid, someone who wasn't particularly good at anything, didn't have any special talents. They named her Maria at the orphanage. She was just like any other kid. Her best friend was named Sophia. The girls were always together, until one day Sophia went missing. She wasn't the first kid to disappear, and Maria knew they wouldn't find her. Rumors about young acolytes vanishing were spreading fast. Maria was freaked out by the thought of Sophia disappearing. She was hoping her friend just wandered off somewhere, and she was sure of it when she spotted Sophia's silhouette in the woods. Maria chased after her, shouting her name over and over. She was stoked her friend was back, out of nowhere. Maria finally caught up and grabbed Sophia's hand, trying to stop her, but the girl just kept running. Everyone's freaking out about Sophia being gone. Nobody knows where she went, so they figured she just vanished. Maria begs her to come home already, but then Sophia turns her head towards Maria, and it turns out the girl doesn't have a face, just black goo where it should be. The Sophia monster lets out a horrifying shriek and starts moving towards Maria, who's backing away. The monster loses its human form and looms over Maria, reaching for her with a huge clawed hand. It raises its hand to strike. Maria can't get out of the way. Frozen in terror, she braces for the blow. But suddenly, a man appears from the forest. the light of his sword giving Maria a glimmer of hope. This night saved her life, and he would later become Maria's first love, someone she could never forget. Upon arriving in Esplanade, the saint notices that everyone in town is a redhead, and they all greet the girl with immense joy. The saint mistakes all the people in town for members of the Georg family, wants to ask her bodyguard about it, but accidentally mistakes him for some boy. The trip from Asperia to Esplanade took 4 days, and the saint was tired, so she was really happy to find such good food in this rural area. Mountains of delicious food are laid out on the table before the girl. She's wished bon appetit, and the saint happily digs in. Georg's worried about her, telling her to slow down a bit so she doesn't get indigestion. Totally unconcerned, the woman comes up behind Georg. She hasn't eaten at the same table as him in ages, so she really wants him to eat up. The woman turns out to be Georg's mother, whom he sincerely thanks, smiling for the first time in a long time. The saint is happy to see these changes in the boy's behavior. He's finally managed to relax with the family he hasn't seen in forever. But the saint's happiness lasts only until she hears Maria's voice, who's genuinely happy for the lucky girl. Ever since that incident in the carriage, the saint's been in a cold war with Maria. But it's only one-sided. The saint isn't talking to her. The guy they rescued on the way to the city got a place to stay and some help, so the saint hasn't seen him since they arrived. But the girl's more than happy about it. Finally, that irritating eyesore's gone. Right now, the saint's already got her hands full with her own stuff. Late at night, the saint opened her room's window and tossed a rope to the ground. A rope she'd made by tying sheets, tablecloths, and other fabrics together. The rope turned out to be super strong and easily held the girl's weight. She figures this kind of escape is about as easy as it gets. The saint's got forbidden magic notes hidden right under her nose, and the knowledge is keeping her up at night. The evening before she split, the girl asked Mother Jorga about forbidden magic, which totally thrilled the woman. The saint's thirst for knowledge blew her away. The woman spilled that the forbidden magic records are stashed in the clock tower library. The saint tried to get the lowdown on where this tower was, and Mother Jorga happily gave her the whole rundown. The tower's in the western part of Esplanade Forest. That's where the saint ended up, the tower towering over the trees. She stares at it, confident. This tower holds the magic that could finally break her cycle of reincarnation. The saint steps forward, determined, but accidentally snaps a twig, and the crunch gets the attention of a stranger by the lake. The guy was chilling by the water, washing up, shaving, and thinking about Maria's stories about the knight who saved her. He reminded Maria a lot of that night, but honestly, she didn't care if he was actually the same guy or not. She just wanted to pay forward the kindness she got from that night way back when she was a kid. So Maria wants him to pay it forward, suggesting he help someone else as repayment for her assistance. The guy was trying to cut all ties with the temple, but his own damn code won't let him leave a good deed unpaid. He hears the saint's footsteps approaching his hiding spot on her way to the tower. The saint freaks out when she sees him. She barely recognizes him, without all the grime on his face, and he's shown up at the worst possible time. The guy, though, thought he heard some kind of wild animal moving around, said it out loud, and stood up from the tree stump he was sitting on. The saint's heard words like that before. The scene, the situation, and the guy's voice all feel really familiar right now. It's all dredging up memories of someone she knew back when she was the Calamity Queen of Runebelt. The girl projected the words and image of her old acquaintance onto the guy, and even noticed a physical resemblance. She was sure she knew him. Everything clicked into place. The realization hit the saint the moment the guy gave her that hard stare. She awkwardly went silent for a couple of seconds, stunned, studying his slightly changed appearance, unable to believe her eyes. No doubt about it, standing right in front of the girl was George II. And when the saint voiced her suspicions, he went ballistic. George took a swing at the girl, slamming her into the tree with a massive blow, immobilizing her. He couldn't risk the priests finding out who he really was. Now that the saint knew his true identity, George couldn't let her go. She'd spill everything to the goddess's servants. He had to kill her. The girl bolted, but he wasn't letting her escape. A rock hurled by the man flew towards the saint at breakneck speed. She was saved by sheer luck. She tripped and fell, and the rock slammed into a tree trunk, its bark splintering into tiny pieces. The man couldn't control his strength, a problem the saint remembered from her past life. George wanted to finish her off quick, but the girl complicated things by running. She was furious at his disrespect. The girl tried to stop his assassination attempt by revealing her status. She wanted to say who she really was, but the man wouldn't listen. Then, the saint opened her mouth to introduce herself as yet another reincarnation of Lyanna, but stopped, never confessing. She was only stopped by the promise she'd made to Chrome the day before. The sin of wrath had begged her, under no circumstances, to reveal her identity for her own safety. The girl tried to back out of the promise, because she can't suspect everyone she knew in her past life of murder. She doesn't want a repeat of the Beatrice situation, and Chrome's actually listening to her on this one. He suggests a compromise. She can only reveal her true identity to someone if Chrome is nearby. Some will be happy to see Lyanna back, but others might want her dead, and both Chrome and Lyanna know it. The saint agreed to that oath and regrets it now, because Chrome isn't around, and revealing her identity would be super useful. Right now, she's no match for George II. She can't even run. The guy's winding up, gonna smack her right in the face. But the saint's not giving up that easy. She remembers her holy power and tries to use it to defend herself. The guy gets distracted, and the saint sees a chance to escape, which she takes. But it's no use. He catches her and lands a blow. Being an ex-paladin, George has tons of experience with holy power, so it doesn't hurt him. The saint's unconscious in his arms from the hit. George II really doesn't want to kill a kid, but he can't leave someone alive who knows his secret. George II, a paladin who inherited his sword from George I, lived his whole life as a righteous warrior, devoted to the priests and believing in everything they did. He accomplished a ton and would have served the Holy Asperia until his dying breath if he hadn't come face to face with Lyanna. People blame the disappearances of young priests on a witch, pinning all the continent's problems on her. With these problems and beliefs, the people came to George II, who was supposed to rid the world of this witch with his sword. The battlefield with the witch was terrifying. Her insane magical power blew away anyone watching. Two paladins, unable to handle the witch's horrifying power, bolted from the battlefield, leaving George II alone to face the threat. The men were too scared to die out there, but George couldn't take his eyes off the magic power slowly engulfing the whole field. He could definitely feel the mana getting denser as he got closer to the source, and he tried to picture what this infamous witch looked like. They described her as a hideous sorceress with sharp claws, a creepy monster that ate kids, and that's what George expected to see. But his expectations were wrong. The walking disaster in front of him didn't look anything like the stories people told. The witch didn't have scary eyes or sharp claws. She didn't look like a monster at all. Georg was just standing in front of a normal person. The girl noticed him, called it a misunderstanding. She thought he really looked like a bear, which pissed Georg off. She was clearly trying to lower his guard with her appearance, then attack and kill him. But Georg wasn't gonna fall for that trick. The man started addressing her formally, tried to intimidate her with his titles, but Lyanna didn't react at all. She wasn't even amused. Georg II, according to Lyanna, was talking too much, so she decided to shut him up, sending him flying with a powerful finger flick. Georg didn't even have time to react to her actions. He was trying to draw his sword when Lyanna's fingers smacked him hard on the forehead. This day was the moment Lyanna and Georg first met, but it only remained in Georg's memory. The girl didn't remember the encounter. After that powerful hit, he started having a weird dream where the witch was dozens of times bigger than any normal person and despised Georg. She called him a little bear again and sent him flying, and Georg really felt like a little bear in that moment. That's when Georg woke up screaming. Crowds of people were fussing around him, and as it turned out, he was in the infirmary. The guy was totally lost, trying to figure out how he got there. Then it hit him. The witch's attack had launched him all the way to the paladin camp. That reminded him about the paladins who bailed, so he asked if they were back. But the priests just thought he was rambling. They chalked his weird talk up to the witch's attack, messing with his head. But George tried to tell them that wasn't the case. George saw those guys running scared with his own eyes, but the priests didn't believe him. Great paladins don't get spooked and run. They started trying to convince him he was wrong, saying all paladins learned the basics and would have charged into the end to kill the witch. They were practically shoving their opinion down George's throat, reminding him who the hell the priests really were, and that the witch was the only one to blame. They only left him alone after he admitted he was wrong. Then they praised him. But now, George was seriously doubting the temple's actions, and resentment started to build. From that day on, cracks started forming in George's beliefs. Soon they shattered completely, and the man followed Lyanna. He tried to think what the girl would do in his place, and decided he had to kill the saint after all. If he let her go, she could expose him. George couldn't leave someone alive who knew about him. He raised his hand, looking like he was gonna snap the girl's neck, giving her a painless death. Suddenly, something stops his hand, preventing the blow. The man turns his head, furious. Jack's spirits are holding him back. George II's shocked. Jack shouldn't even be here right now. Loud footsteps echo from the forest. George realizes someone's charging toward him. He leaps aside just in time. Jack's spirit still won't let go of his arm, and all he can see is the dust cloud he just kicked up. Chrome stands before George, tense and ready to fight. He's got his sword gripped tight in one hand, and he's holding the saint with zero effort in the other. Chrome, being in Runebelt, quickly helped his buddies wrap up those documents. That fired Jack up so much, he asked Chrome to stay in town. Chrome shut him down hard. But Jack was cool with Chrome not staying, since protecting the saint is his main gig. So, as a thank you for helping with the paperwork, Jack decided to use his spirit magic to give Chrome a special delivery straight to the saint. Jack burned way too much energy during that teleport. Now he's wiped out. The saint was way too far, out in the middle of nowhere. The teleport was only possible because Jack attached spirits to the saint so he could track her location. Suddenly, the spirits are scattering from exhausted Jack. He can't chase after them, and he can't control his little buddies either. Chrome takes off after the spirits too, noticing something in the deep woods. Jack is freaked out by how sudden he moved, but he still runs after him. Between the trees, Chrome spots George II about to kill the saint and charges at him, ready to strike with his sword. If George hadn't let go of the saint, he'd be down an arm. He'd heard the rumors that Chrome had become the saint's dog, so he wasn't shocked to see him. Still, George didn't expect Chrome to raise a hand against him for a girl. He's pretty disappointed. Chrome's not thrilled to see George either, and his behavior is ticking him off. He wants to know where George has been all these years. George doesn't give a straight answer, lying that he's been asleep. Chrome snaps and yells, clearly on edge. Chrome thinks George already knows Lyanna was reborn as the saint, and that's why he tried to kill her. George is totally capable of that. A tired Jack finally stumbles out of the forest, abandoned by everyone. He's seriously pissed about that. But those feelings fade when Jack sees a suspicious ginger stranger in Chrome, furiously pointing his sword right at him. It hits Jack. This stranger's George II. He sees the little saint in Chrome's arms, and she's been roughed up. You can see it on her face. The guy loses it, freaks out, and charges George, ready to beat him senseless. You gotta be nuts to attack the saint. While Jack and George II are going at it, the saint wakes up in Chrome's arms. She's confused, doesn't know where she is or what's happening. Chrome being there throws her for a loop. Meanwhile, George notices something weird. Chrome's never treated anyone the way he's treating the saint right now. Lyanna was the only one he ever worshipped. George will never forget the vibe between them, the scenes he had to witness back then. Chrome and Lyanna spent a lot of time together. She was always quick to lose her temper, and Chrome always calmly talked her down. And that's exactly what he's doing now, calming the saint, who George thinks is acting way too much like Lyanna. Suddenly, Maria and George's voices echo from the woods, all frantic. They're searching for the saint, and these loud noises are scaring them. The girl got caught sneaking out, so now she's gonna get chewed out for causing trouble for the priests. Chrome sets the freaked out girl on the ground. The disaster mages have to bail on the girl. Chrome's on leave, and everyone knows Jack's a Runebelt envoy. They shouldn't be here. The girl's scared to be alone with Georg, but the mages swear they'll protect her remotely, and Chrome's giving Georg death glares if he even thinks about touching the saint. The guy finds the mage's antics hilarious. He's just chuckling away, while Chrome and Jack head deeper into the woods, leaving the saint alone with Georg. Georg's cursing Chrome's usual nasty attitude, but the saint's ignoring him. She's way too pissed. The girl's so furious, she starts threatening Georg with lies, saying she'll tell the priests he kidnapped her, because then she won't get in trouble. Her actions and words don't fit someone so young. She's got a seriously calculating little mind. Reminds Georg of someone he knows. He's thinking about Lyanna. Way back when, he went up to her to ask for a job, and she called him lazy, said he was incapable of figuring out something to do. Lyanna even gave Georg the title of Edeler, and remembering that, Georg realizes the girl's sly nature hasn't changed one bit. The guy finally recognizes Lyanna in her new reincarnation, and the girl's freaking out. She can't figure out how he guessed. Out of the woods comes angry Georg and a scared Maria, and the boys about to attack the other Georg, convinced the guy's the one who made the saint disappear. The girl sees this as the perfect chance to get rid of the second Georg, and plans to frame the man, say he really did kidnap her. But George cuts the saint off, spins the story to make himself look good, lies that he tried to bring her home, but she stubbornly kept running into the woods. Maria and George thank the guy for his help. They have no excuse for being so careless. They totally ignore the girl's explanations, because her track record of running away speaks volumes against her. The saint can't deny it. Maria is super bummed. The girl shouldn't be causing trouble this far from the temple. But Maria can't stay mad for long. She loves the saint too much, and was just happy to find her alive and well. Nothing else matters. The saint feels really bad for acting up. She sincerely apologizes for making Maria worry, and they hug it out. For rescuing the saint, George II deserves a reward, but he turns it down and asks the girl to give him a job as his reward. He lies, saying he just wants to repay the girl for helping him earlier, but the saint knows who he really is and doesn't believe him for a second. Bright and early, the saint orders the guy to catch fish, a whole 100 fresh ones. Maria thinks the girl is giving George too much to do. But the girl disagrees, saying if the guy wants to repay the favor, he's gotta work for it. She ain't forgiving that dude for his insults, doesn't want him near her, and told him not to come back till he's caught exactly 100 fish. She's trying to scare George, but the guy ain't reacting right. He's smiling like an idiot and swearing loyalty to the saint. The girl's speechless. She's starting to shake. George is blown away by the guy's optimism. Nobody ever reacts like that to the saint's orders. The saint's backing away, trying to get as far from the guy as possible, and gets behind George, who's just watching her, confused. She wants the kid to follow George as a second, like an observer. Other paladins can handle bodyguard duty, but none of them are gonna agree to watch this stranger. Only George can do it. The guy grabs the kid, throws him on his shoulders, and drags him along. George really doesn't want to go, but the saint sees it as a good way to reunite the George family. The saint's really on edge with George II around. She's worried, because in her past life, he was always confessing his love for her. Plus, ever since arriving in Esplanade, everyone's been bending over backwards to hook the saint up with George. The girl hates it. The saint decides she'll figure out why people are acting like this later. George's mom is coming up behind her. She tells the girl to follow her. The saintess is laser-focused on learning about forbidden magic right now. It's been days since she got to the city, and today's finally the day she gets into the West Tower. The saintess's lesson in the tower begins, and they hand her a ton of thick books, a collection of St. Galatia's journals. This girl's been reading those boring books for hours. They're making her sick. But the priests just keep shoving more at her. Mother Jorga says these journals will contain information about forbidden magic, which gets the saintess fired up. But this surprises the girl. Forbidden magic info shouldn't be in Galatia's journals, since Runebelt, the mage, created it, not the saint. Mother Jorga says that's exactly what they're going to talk about. She's going to discuss past uses of forbidden magic with the girl. A long time ago, someone with bad intentions used it, and a disaster kicked off that only St. Galatia and George I could stop together. Later, after seeing this historical record, the last Holy Father thought forbidden magic was too dangerous and teamed up with Runebelt to seal it away. He was afraid this power would be used again, and the saintess knew none of this. She didn't think forbidden magic was connected to the temple, but to her teacher. This is messing her up, because Lyanna always thought her mentor had no secrets from her. But turns out, he's been lying the whole time. The saintess was the only one kept in the dark about this critical info. Her high status is totally useless if nobody tells her anything. Now, she's got to rethink everyone she's ever met. A bunch of them probably knew the truth about the forbidden magic, but kept their mouths shut. Thinking about that, George II is the first one who pops into her head. Then the whole George family. If he knew anything, he would have told her, right? George II is the most loyal of all the calamities. The saintess is sure of it. Too bad she has no clue he's currently attacking George IV.